Welcome back to the most exciting comic book podcast on YouTube and the interwebs. Today we're going to be talking about NFTs. We've seen the leaked memo from DC Comics basically telling creators, slow your roll. We don't have a policy regarding NFTs after former DC artists sold some original Wonder Woman NFTs for upwards of $2 million. It's been a lot of buzz, and today I've got some great people to talk with us about this. First off, we do have Pele, who's been an investor into cryptocurrency in the past, right, Pele?
Yep, yeah, I've been in it since 2012.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
So Pele's
rolling.
Absolutely. Also, we got returned to the channel, Larry from Larry's Comics. He's not as into cryptocurrency, but he's got a lot of questions, just like you and I do, about what the hell are NFTs and what does it really mean for the comic book industry moving forward. How you doing, Larry?
Hey, hi, Wes, and guys, thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
Next up, we've got Drew from Comics Elite. Now, they specialize in high-end comic book memorabilia. As you can see in the wall behind him, that is physical memorabilia. What do NFTs and this crypto art mean for the future of what Comics Elite are going to be doing? He's definitely going to be interested in this. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing well, Wes. Thank you for having me back. This is a brand new world, brave new world with this.
Oh, careful with that.
Also, Jimmy from Comics Quirks, the comic book teddy bear himself, is going to be joining us. He hasn't quite made it yet, but he's on the West Coast. Hopefully he'll be in here soon. But next up, we do have comic book artists work for all the major publishers. Just sold some NFT artwork. Eric Canetti, very happy to have you on here to talk about
Thanks
this.
for having me, guys. Appreciate it, Wes.
Congratulations on your sale, Eric. That's great.
Absolutely.
Exciting.
Appreciate it. We're going to keep that under the radar because I don't want eyeballs aiming at me going like, wait, what did you do?
God tier line work, by the way. God tier line work.
Thank you so much.
So, Eric, you've seen the memo from DC Comics. Basically, it felt very responsive, as in they didn't have a policy ready. I don't think that they were ready for someone to become a millionaire essentially overnight selling some NFT artwork. What was your response to that memo, and is there anything about that kind of caught your attention?
Well, yeah, it irked me like you wouldn't believe. However, let me say this: like, I don't think it was created overnight. I think they kind of saw the blip on the radar of where this was going. They rolled it out as a precautionary in order to understand what the left handle and right handle looks like in this new, as we referred to, the copyright trademark new frontier, right? And until they can understand it, they want to be able to say, or until they can fully wrap their minds around it, they don't want the potential of individuals out there infringing on their copyright. So it was as blanket as they could make it, but in the way that it was messaged, and you can see who wrote off on it, but I don't know who the architects were of the email. But the way it was messaged was, we own those copyrights in whatever capacity, even if it's in the if we've printed it before, or even if we've never seen it before, we own that IPO. And by the way, we're going into that market as well. And there's a third part that's a tiny bit more insidious, which is there is a bit of emotional hijacking when they start leveraging the conversation towards collectors and fans. Hey, you guys understand that we have collectors and fans as well, right? And it's like, oh, that's a kooky way to message that email. And so at its premise, as like, if you break it down as simply as possible, I'm like, you guys needed to think about this email way more than how you guys messaged it out.
So you've been aware of NFTs, and for people that aren't understanding the concept of what an NFT is, like in response to art. Now, there's been a long-standing policy, amongst the major publishers, that if you create a piece of art, it's yours, and you can resell it. At a convention, you can have a web page for e-commerce and things of that nature.
Sure.
What is it about this that has made them kind of think that they need to change their policies?
I can't speak for them, but if I were to sort of deconstruct where they're coming from, it is the concept that NFTs can be sold as editions, if that makes any sense. The one-off, I don't think, is going to be the major sticking point, because and as we had spoken about backstage, one-offs are similar to if I were to create a piece of art for a customer, with the understanding that neither they nor I have publishing rights to that one-off. That transaction is, in a way, okay, right? Technically, still, if you get into the weeds of it, I could still get in trouble for doing that because that doesn't belong to me. Now, if I were to take that same physical drawing and sell it as prints and sell 1,000 of them, right? I'm publishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's infringing on their exclusive rights, not only as the IP, but as the publisher of that IP. That's where we're getting hung up, in my opinion. That's where this is getting hung up in regards to the digital art NFT space, which is some artists can do that same exact thing digitally, right? They can make editions of one piece of art and sell X amount of copies from it. And I guess, in a way, this is all brand new geography, all brand new, sort of like the brand new world that they're heading into. None of that has been established yet, whether or not ultimately that is publishing, if that is infringing on that. But I think if there's a hang up, if there is sort of like a tripwire that people can step over and make everything explode, that's it. The editions version of NFTs. And not only that, if I were to sell a print, it's, I don't know, whatever prints go for at conventions, right? NFT editions are selling in the upwards of, in US dollar crypto translation, in the upwards of like as much as $5,000-$10,000 a pop.
Wow.
All right, so Pele, you've been in cryptocurrency for quite some time. Certainly, I don't believe if Jose had sold his original Wonder Woman art, he wouldn't have received $2 million on the open market, for the physical comic, in US dollar transaction.
I don't know. I'm not the guy to decide. Art, like tastes are very subjective. So who knows how much he would have sold for originally.
Pele, why the big jump in these prices? Why is it that a piece of art sold as a digital, like crypto art, seemingly worth so much more than maybe on paper?
Okay. The best way to describe this is that imagine, if you will, you'd been, back in the 1930s, and you saw Simon and Schuster's work, on Superman, and after they got done with the Action Comics #1, they were sitting there going, "Well, what are we going to do with this? Hey, anybody want to buy the drafts?" And they just held them up like that, and said, you could just take them and do whatever you want to with them. What would they sell for today if they were brought out of the market? But there's a lot of issues as far as it's brand new, it's exciting, it's somewhere that people can invest money. But
the transaction is not, in fact, in dollars. Is one of the big keys, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's in digital currency, and there's a divide between what we look at as far as a dollar value and what a crypto value would be. A lot of these are looking at in terms of, the NFT values are looked at in terms of what is Ethereum worth,
Right.
and so you've got, there's a big swing in from day to day, even of what an Ethereum token is worth, what Ethereum coin is worth. So you've got, there's a big difference there as well. So it's not as shocking if you're into the digital space and you're talking about in terms of, well, this is 3 ETH, this is 5 ETH, but when you convert it to physical dollars is when you get the shock value, when you get the, oh my God, and so it's a difference. It's like, I'll do an exchange with somebody for this asset, for another asset. Oh, this asset's going to cost me 2.2 Bitcoin. And I'm just kind of shrug it off and I go, okay, fine. And then somebody goes, you could have just bought a brand new Z06 Corvette, or
Wow.
well, yeah, but this is we're talking about fungible tokens here. It's a different mindset, and it's not it's not the same as taking brick of cash going to car dealership. So you could do that, but then you've got to deal with how much is it going to cost to convert that to dollars? How much is that going to how much am I going to lose as far as depreciation? How much we're losing taxes? How much, there's a lot of exchange madness that's going on in that too. So,
yeah. Well
So
said.
Eric, I did want to ask you a question about this. What is it about comics art and these NFTs that make them so kind of valuable on the market right now? Is it just because it's new that they've been brought into the market as NFTs, or is it that I was told, don't think of this as actual art. It's like it's a unique number that represents something that can never be duplicated ever in the history of the world. And that's basically what you're getting. Is you're getting like
If you look at it as like Neo from the Matrix, yeah, I'm sure it's just like code that's floating in front of you. Right. But if you look at it from a creative space, especially from a business / creative space, there is something to be said about the crypto art, the NFT art world that doesn't have too much comic book art embedded into it, made by guys who are currently working or have been working recently in the comic book industry. It's a brand new space. The platforms that are helping stand those guys up know the value of that, know the potential value of that. And now there has been sort of a gold rush, forgive the term, in setting up a lot of those guys in that space. They succeed, the artists succeed, and it seemed to have been a very viable space for people who work digitally until the what do you call it? The cease and desist came out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so obviously, Drew, you guys work in Highland Collections. You said the owner of the shop that manages it, he's been into cryptocurrency in the past. Do you think within the near future that you're going to have your own digital art collection, like in a little vault that, with NFT art that's essentially evaluated and for sale?
It's possible. I mean, at some point doing a live stream, I could have like a digital frame up here or some digital prints back here behind me at some point, digital original art. But
obviously, you do have original art behind you. Like,
yes,
what's stopping the owner from creating an NFT of that art that he bought?
It wouldn't stop him. I'm sure Sean is probably looking into it right now. He just hasn't told me about it. Right later today, he'd be like, "Oh, by the way, hey, I just got some NFT." It's like, "Wait, what?
We've got 5 NFTs." Yeah.
It's just everyone, because of this high dollar amount. I really, really have a strong feeling that a lot of people are going to want a piece of this pie. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if CGC or CBCS tries to find a way to get their piece of the pie.
To slab the digital.
Yeah, yeah, their own digital, like a blue label going across.
I know for an absolute fact they are. I
Yes.
can't go into details. I've been working with the CGC board on different projects before in the past, and I can tell you for an absolute fact that something is moving.
Oh,
I cannot be specific, but yeah.
There you go.
there you go. You got an exclusive right there, Wes. There you go.
So also with this on the panel, he wasn't here at the beginning, but he has made it obviously within the last few minutes, is the comic book teddy bear himself. We've got Jimmy from Comics Quirks. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hey man, how you doing? I was ready, set to go, and then my computer just decided it needed an update right then and there. So I had
I
to
think that you don't have your audio input on your headset. I think it's still set to your computer. But it sounds like we're getting your computer audio instead of your actual headset.
Yeah.
It's not very clear.
You can go to the little gear and change the.
All right, we'll get back to Jimmy. He's getting it sorted out. Obviously, up with us here is Larry. Larry, you're an older school guy. I don't know that your comic shop specifically deals in high-end collectibles. I know you have a lot of back issues and things like that. Does this new era that we're seeing as far as comic book collectibles, does it have you intrigued? Does it have your mind spinning? What's going on?
I'd rather have the original art than the blockchain version. I mean, it's never a great look when a huge corporation kind of lays down the law to all their employees and contractors, that they own stuff. But I mean, they've got to be looking at the writing on the wall. This past week, a new sport card company, Top Shot, did $230 million selling video clips of basketball players, like in a day. So they know that there's a ton of money and opportunity here. DC, we know, is struggling. They're looking for, every scrap of income just to stay alive. They hired Daniel Cherry, who comes from esports Activision. I don't know if they've had something, in mind all along, if this was part of their plan to go after new business. I really don't understand it.
So, Eric, I do have one question that I noticed. Within the NFT itself is the ownership chain of where this art, like who has owned it, where it's gone. Mm-hmm. Does that mean if the artist obviously is the originator, that maybe if in 20 years it's sold for exponentially more than you sold it originally, would you then be entitled to some type of a portion of that sale since it was originally, since you're the creator, maybe technically is your art?
Yeah, that's also a nuanced question, which is a great question. Depending on the terms and the conditions that are put into technically the gas that's put inside the NFT itself, the tokenizing of that piece of art, there is embedded things into. I like the way I generalize things, but there's embedded nuance in that token that either says, okay, once it leaves me, right, it can be, you can have it X amount of sales down the line. My pieces of art, I believe, and I can verify this one way or not, is that regardless of how many hands that digital file changes, I get paid in perpetuity, a small percentage of it.
So that's obviously great for the artist.
Correct.
Yes. So there's another interesting layer to that. Now, Jimmy, how's your audio now? How you doing?
Do I sound better?
You do sound a little bit better.
Awesome.
Okay, because I didn't know what was going on. The update must have changed everything.
Yes, whatever you
I noticed
restart
the
your
little
computer
blue
with
dot.
StreamYard, it's going to kick you back to your computer audio.
Yeah, the little blue light on your microphone lit up. So
it did. Good.
So how you doing, Jimmy? What are you thinking about these NFTs and crypto artwork as far as comic books? Is it exciting? You're a younger man than most of us.
It's not exciting for the fact of the collectability. I don't see the point really, because you can't do anything with it. I don't really understand cryptocurrencies either. I can't really physically do anything with it, so I don't understand why it's going up in price.
You can buy stuff with cryptocurrency. You can actually you transcend markets because it's not established from a country. It makes it easier to do transactions.
I still don't understand all that stuff. It's weird though.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I was in that boat. I promise you, I was in that boat with you until somebody. I think it's easier to understand. I mean, if I can get it, and I'm a dum-dum, right? Like, it took me 2 hours to just.
That'll make you get it.
It took me 2 hours to fully understand what the implications are in regards to transactional business, and then obviously the deeper it's a rabbit hole. So the deeper you go into the rabbit hole, it starts talking about like decentralizing all currency, and as far as like how the world banks impact how our markets and yada yada yada. But at its top level, it's exactly how Wes described it.
You're lucky. I mean, I had one of the main like blockchain guys from back in the day sit in my living room, and it took him a day and a half to explain why blockchain was important and why cryptocurrency was important. Because I was like, what gives these things value? It just doesn't make any sense, And finally, after the 14th hour of us talking, it clicked in my head. It's all about the infrastructure.
Yes.
And I was like, you're not buying the coin. You're buying a part of what makes the coin work.
Correct.
And it clicked in my head, and I was like, okay, fine. All right, all aboard.
When did you get into it?
It was 2011, late 2011, early 2012.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when I took my, because I retired early. I was part of a company that did a lot of wireless technology, and I was one of the engineers that did, was part of some of that technology.
Little do we know, Pele sitting on 5,000 bitcoins.
Well,
No, let's not get into
He's
that.
broadcasting
Let's not
from
get into
space
that.
right now, you
Let's not
guys.
get into
He's
that.
got his own satellite.
Good job, Pele.
But it was a situation where, oh yeah, and I took some of that money then and I bought bitcoins, in 2012. So,
Woo.
but it's like everybody else though. It's like, oh wow, it hit $500. I'm going to cash out part. I didn't hodl like I should have. And I kind of, you kind of there's a little, there's a, you take profits. And if I hadn't taken profits at those times, it would have changed things in my life. And I don't regret anything that's happened along the way, but I do wish that I'd been a little more conservative with my bitcoins.
Sure.
So you're saying instead of one satellite, you could have had two satellites.
Yeah, I could like have Musk on speed dial now instead of just
I do need to
tweeting
say,
at him.
thank you to you murder that guy real quick for the super chat from Canada. He said Larry's back. He's a legend. Larry is a legend.
Oh,
He is
thank
the
you, my
comic book
buddy from
angel.
Canada, eh? You're the best.
Absolutely.
Last
Thank
year,
you very
guys,
much.
the storyline was publishers and creators were struggling. Okay, this
Yeah.
is, if anything, this is a new exciting revenue stream for all of our creative friends and publishing friends. I mean, if this is just something they can tweak and maybe the money can pour in, and ultimately it's going to be good for comics.
I think at the end of the day, what that email signified, at least to me, if I were to take my allergic reaction of how clumsy it was executed, is the fact that it's all brand new and they're trying to wrap their mind around it. It's still a challenge for them to understand. And until they understand it, they're asking us to be patient as the creators on the artistic end.
If they don't understand it, why the fuck did they hire Daniel Cherry? I thought that was his thing. I thought he was the.
Well,
Well,
certainly
they
with
knew
that
Activision and other
Yeah.
games, there are NFT like token assets that you can go out there and sell and things like that. But I don't know that he was that much into that. I think he was more of the brand guy.
Yeah.
I bet he wasn't the one like designing the NFT like, in the pieces of equipment that would be serialized and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get the hire.
That's I'm with you there. It feels like DC's had some issues just getting the word out, which I thought he's a marketing guy. But I don't know, Pele. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this ends up going to court? And if it does, how do you think it'll go? Now, obviously, you're not a lawyer, but
not a lawyer, but I think that it'll go one of two ways. You'll get a judge or a judge panel that doesn't understand digital assets, and it'll go badly for the artists at first and the creators at first, but then it'll get cleaned up along the way in the appellate court when you get people that do understand digital contracts, and then or it'll get picked up and understood right off the bat. And it just really depends. I think that eventually, though, it will sort itself out to where the way that it's intended to. I'll put it that way.
Eric, as an artist yourself, do you think this probably is going to need to be eventually adjudicated within the court of law, since it's a new asset? DC Comics, Marvel, other publishers have had policies in the past regarding comic artists and their artwork, but they seem to be, feel like they need to change the policy now. Well, that feels like it should work in the artist's favor.
I would hope so. Keep in mind, I'm incredibly biased because I'm on this side of the line when it comes to thinking about how to make a comic book career a sustainable one. I would hope so, but I don't know. I can't predict. If I had that level of crystal ball, you and I would be going to Vegas betting on everything.
I'd love to be along for that ride.
What I would hope is that if DC or publishers in general, I don't want to pick on them, but let's say publishers in general draw a line in the sand and say, this is where we are not going to allow potential infringement on our IP in whatever capacity, whether it be one-offs or editions. I would think that given the new opportunity and this seemingly wide open marketplace, it would strain that relationship between publisher and artist to the point where you would have to genuinely ask, what would be the long-term reason that I would continue to work for a publisher if I can't do this version for my art?
Also, that comes down to a legal battle too, of freedom of expression. Because if you tell an artist he can't draw a certain character for money, that just cuts into their freedom of expression. And
none of it's a copyrighted character. Like Eric can't just go and make an X-Men comic or even a print and then go and sell it. But you can't do commissions, correct?
The line, the line that what they're saying is, and I was talking to my wife about this, or actually I was trying to explain it to my father-in-law, who similarly to some of the people in this panel were scratching their heads going like, I don't get it, right? And especially in about this specific case, if I were to take a painting of Wonder Woman and hang it up in a gallery, an actual physical one, and sold it for $2 million, nobody would bat an eye, because it's what we've come to understand, right? It's in a gallery. It's an original, it's a one-off, it's sitting up there, somebody had the money to pay for it, $2 million USD. Similar thing happened, but now it's digital. It's a one-off, it's digital, right? Somebody bought it for $2 million, or the equivalent of $2 million in Ether. They took exception to that, or at least they're moving carefully into that space. They're saying pump the brakes on any and all of this NFT stuff. We need to find our way around it. And that's where I was like, yeah, that's poor.
If it had been like we were talking about before we started, if it had been like a $2,000 sale, in converted assets, if it had been a $20,000 sale, I don't think anybody would have really batted an eye. That there's a Maginot line there that I think that like of like $500,000 or $1 million in converted assets, that people just go, whoa.
Yeah,
whoa,
I mean that definitely helped eyeballs to go like, wait, what does that mean for us?
How do you guys feel about properties that aren't corporations? Let's take Canto, for example. How do you feel about other creators just jumping on the bandwagon maybe this week and creating NFTs of somebody else's IP and putting them out there? I mean,
that's actually been happening, and without the I can't remember what the Twitter handle is.
How do you feel about that? I feel as if creators own their property, and I mean, I feel as if you're almost taking advantage of that creator if you're just without any cost to you, you're able to just jump on and profit off somebody else's creation.
Well, you're not selling that character. You're not selling the rights to that character.
Of course not.
You're selling your version, your impression, your idea of what that character looks like in your mind. And that I think is where the division occurs.
And for creators and artists, if that is the case, and that's just allowed and standard practice, I think there's unlimited potential out there right now for creators.
Correct.
Well, if this goes to courts and DC wins, then there's not, because then you're telling artists you can't draw this character for money, even though that's your job.
Unless it's for us.
That's where I was saying that I think that at first there may be setbacks, there may be hurdles, but I think that eventually, once people get their head around, what this means as far as comparing digital to physical, that eventually it will out itself correctly. But and the offset of it, I think that you may end up with some these big companies with big powerful attorneys that kind of just bully their way around.
Before that lawsuit hits, creators, get out there right now and hustle, hustle, because there's gold in them Nar Hills.
Do you think DC has enough money for that? For like big lawyers?
Warner does.
Warner Brothers does.
Well, and certainly, behind Marvel, you have AT&T.
Yeah, when you're talking $2 million a pop, for an NFT of a character, and there can be an unlimited number of NFTs of other characters and stuff like that. They're looking at, whoa, that could be our bottom line for the next 10 years. We need to really investigate this. So there's going to be a lot of lawyers out there that are going to be saying, hey, I can make a lot of bank.
Have they already, and by they I mean DC and whomever else, publishers in general, they've already started making plans for releasing their own tokenized piece of art, collectible artwork, correct?
Mm-hmm. They
It
are.
sounds like it. They certainly already announced Jim Lee's deal, right?
Yeah, he
there
didn't
you
create
go.
that overnight. He had that planned for a while. Takes
Well,
him a
he had
while
a
to
digital
slot it
release for a while, but I think that the whole NFT, he kind of like, it kind of like changed direction a bit when all this hit, and they went, well, actually, we're going to make this blockchain, and we're going to get into the, we've already, we're talking to the people, to do this, and it's shifted from being a digital release to being an NFT release.
Correct.
So, but that's one. That's good for people that are proponents of NFTs, because it does get more exposure out there. But on the other side, though, it kind of gives the impression that, well, you kind of need you need the
Interesting point, okay.
DC's authority to do this. You need our stamp of approval, and I don't think that that's really the case. So.
But did you all think it was interesting that after we saw this leaked memo from DC Comics that Jim Lee announces his NFT deal? Like, he doesn't have to wait for it, although everybody else does. What did you think of that, Pele?
That's yeah, okay. That's not unexpected. But I mean, look where he is. Look who he is.
Well, I imagine he's already working within whatever the policy they intend.
Right.
I just don't think it's probably has to go through the lawyers.
And I think they're kind of like, they're firing from the hip right now, and at least in a certain regard, I think that they're firing from the hip, and they're kind of, this is going to be our policy going forward, but we're still kind of feeling things out. We're going to, we just don't want to look like we're just sitting back and with our thumb in our butts. So,
how do publishers incorporate this into their digital releases to make digital releases not perceived as just valueless releases? I mean, is this something that they can incorporate, like the Top Shot company that just sold virtual packs of video clips? Can publishers
potentially
incorporate this?
The key operating word in NFT, especially when you start talking about the dollar value that we're talking about now, is the collectability. This is the bad version of a pitch, but let's say they hire a top tier artist and a top tier writer, and they say, we're only going to release a book with 100 editions of this particular book, of this title, right? Mainstream publisher, issue number 1, capped at 100 issues. This artist, this writer. Then it impacts how much those comics in NFT form, tokenized, will cost. Does that make sense?
They could do 100 editions with a different last page, 100 editions with a cover, different covers.
Just with a different serialization within the chain.
Absolutely.
Unlimited potential for revenue streams, gentlemen.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, Pele. So obviously you own a lot of original art and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, not as much as I'd like.
You've been in cryptocurrency. Is NFT something that you're looking at? You're not an artist, but you own something. Is it something that you need to look into?
Absolutely. It's something that I am looking into. I'm kind of looking to see how things shake out a little bit first. Probably losing a little bit of money in that, and I'm not just jumping in with both feet right now, but I think in the long run, though, I want to be on the right side of this. I want to be on I want to be on what's going to be held as policy and what's legal going into the future. So I'm kind of holding off a bit, but there are some works that I think will really do well as NFTs. So.
What if DC got out in front of this and offered their creators their characters to use as NFTs as a pay what you like model? You use Batman. Make an NFT and pay us whatever you like. You could pay them $1, you could pay them 10% or 20%.
I think they're doing a version of what you're proposing, Larry, which is there's conversations behind the scene of potentially artists who may want to use their characters to pay a fee or a percentage based on the income of that NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds fair to me.
It's like you were talking about with the gas. It's like we'll code this in in the blockchain that there's a 4% gas fee that goes to DC Comics.
Correct.
And and we will help promote your digital work, and we'll say that it's DC official. as long as you put that in there, and we get a residual from that for each time.
Correct.
For each time the piece of work changes hands.
They're also getting exposure for their characters too. It just keeps. I think that's the agreeable way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could energize and mobilize, all the artists.
Well, you certainly
Working
can
for you.
energize artists if they're out of
They
this
do it
market,
incorrectly.
They're getting these transactions. No, another thing that's out there, Eric, that I noticed is all of a sudden everybody in the entire comic book industry has become a technology expert and has an opinion about the environmental impacts of NFT artwork as far as the process of creating the token and the power used. I've seen some outrageous allegories out there.
It got
I'm
me
sure-
got me thinking, man. I mean, is my Pornhub premium membership impacting the rainforest? I mean, I'm going to
Absolutely.
rethink
Larry's
how I do
VIP
business.
account at Pornhub is knocking out countries worth of.
That's how we lost power here in the building. I was downloading some NFT artwork, and boom, my
Oh,
connection went
yeah.
out. I was seeing if Rich Johnson was right, and
Brings
boom.
new meaning to NFT. That F has new standards. Yeah.
See, I saw something that was like each click adds up to a certain amount of CO2 emissions. And I was
Yes.
like, says the person who tweets 5,000 times a day.
Like,
There's-
Hey, listen, that's only half
before we
an
get
NFT.
before we get into like the conversation, sometimes, not always, it pivots towards like, well, this isn't as bad as X, right? Which is a really awful conversation. Well, I killed 2 people, but that guy over there killed 7 people. So I don't know what the big deal is. Like, yeah, you're still killing people. Before we get into that space, I always ask them, whenever I see people like just parroting statistics, I always ask, have you done your own research rather than, because that retweet button is a freaking killer, man, right? Killer to actual critical thinking. It's just
I
enough
don't
for
even
somebody
want
to
to start
go,
thinking about this.
right, I'm just going to click it.
Crazy.
And then, I'm just going to click the retweet button because I feel like that's the right thing to do. Rather than starting up your Twitter lynch mob, I always ask people to go do their research about it and then talk with a level of context and understanding. So people who are up in arms in regards to killing a Nicaraguan rainforest or whatever it is, I'm like, that's cool. You can do that. That's your Twitter account. But I often try not to overreact until I do a lot of thinking for myself and research for myself.
Eric, you're a reasonable man.
Too reasonable, I think.
I
Some
think
people say.
Eric, did you notice that the dividing line was essentially, for the most part, if you're an artist, this NFT thing's a pretty good idea. But if you're a writer, an editor, or a journalist, it is essentially the end of the world.
I haven't noticed. Only because I am not paying attention to the pitchforks. I'm not paying attention to the torches. I'm like,
I've
it's your
always
life,
felt
man.
bad for the money-making opportunities for writers in this industry. At a show, you'll have
There's
an
nothing that
artist
says
and a
you
writer
can't create an
tabling.
NFT of a script.
I
Correct.
guess so. I guess so.
Correct. Nothing is preventing them from I think it's one of those things where if you
Because they
really
can't put their
think,
heads around it yet.
Exactly. If you really think hard about what you can tokenize, there's opportunities there, but immediately you're going to have, that's what Twitter is made for.
Yeah, you're going to have I don't know, Nobel laureate poets out there that are going to be going, I can write a poem and put it in as an NFT.
Correct.
And that's when
musicians.
that's when it will click. That light will come on, and they'll go, ooh.
Yeah.
I have a
Who
question
wants
for you,
the
Eric.
original digital recording of Stairway to Heaven? We've got the guitar.
Eric, do you know to create
You know what I
when
mean?
you create an NFT, does it cost you? Did it cost you anything to create that NFT?
Yes.
Is there a fee?
Yes.
What is
Yeah.
that?
It ranges depending on the current marketplace and how busy it is to tokenize something. So we can go for as little as $60 to as much as $1,000.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a entire process. Now, Pele, you were talking earlier. You saw what some of the people were saying about the environmental impacts, and you don't believe they were being completely fair or possibly even honest. Although, as Eric said, a lot of people probably haven't looked into this. What are your thoughts? Are you okay with the environmental impacts? Is it something you're comfortable with?
Well, here's the deal. You've got the initial cost of implementing the NFT. You've got what's going to cost to move the gas. It's going to cost to move this move the the asset from one place to the other, and that is a thing. That's a very real thing. But you've got to look at, okay, it's going to take this many kilowatt hours for the lifetime of the NFT. Yeah, but then you've got 1,000, 10,000 other NFTs that are on the same blockchain that are normalizing that cost. Correct. So, it's not like, oh, we're making this entire infrastructure for one token. No, you're making this entire infrastructure for potentially millions, if not billions of tokens. So then it changes the cost per token, the cost over the lifetime of this NFT. So, and it does. It changes that pricing structure, changes that energy cost in, fingerprint, if you will. So it's dishonest in saying that, oh, it's going to take 5,000 trees worth of energy to, for the lifetime of this token. It would take 5,002 trees for the lifetime of 50,000 tokens. So, it's like, let's be honest here. Let's be a little bit honest.
And
what
that's
Pele
why
is talking about is
technology, right? Like over the lifetime of that NFT, things are going to become more efficient. Maybe it doesn't take up quite as much space on my computer. The computer becomes more efficient. Things of that nature. You can't just think
it's like
too.
The point is like what Pele is talking about, which is that's often that context that he just gave right now, rarely talked about. And that's the part that's really infuriating whenever you start having these people with their environmental arguments come into the conversation, because that part is left out because it's not sensational enough,
Yeah. I mean, and you're also looking at too, what is the blockchain? Well, you've got the Ethereum blockchain right now, which is, proof of, which is it's moving, the blockchain is going to be moving to proof of stake instead of proof of work.
Correct.
And that changes the energy fingerprint dramatically at that point, because you're not got people, you don't have people with their RTX 3070s and their RTX 3090s, cranking out, 400 watts of power continuously to mine Ethereum. You've got dude over here with just, proof of stake wallet, running on a smartphone. It's going to be doing potentially the same thing, so that's going to be changing that amount of, watt hours per stake, by a factor.
How much environment? What's the carbon footprint of maintaining a video of you and your kids playing in the yard? Let's talk about that.
On my hard drive.
Somebody put it very aptly to me. They said, they were talking about releasing a handful of NFT pieces of artwork, and they got massive pushback from whomever. And they said to me, well, I guess they're just interested in me publishing more books. And he kind of did it with a wink and a smile, because, again, everything is decontextualized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Printing could quite possibly be just as damaging, but that's not the conversation we're having.
The
how many
internet's
trees are you
always
going to
looking for
kill?
a fight.
Oh, go ahead.
So, we've talked about these NFTs. Obviously, it's a new world. We're all kind of getting our heads around it. I really appreciate this conversation. I think it was enlightening for a lot of people. But if you haven't noticed, at the bottom, I've been scrolling. The Thinking Critical Comic Book Podcast is live, and we're on all the major podcast networks except for Google Podcasts. We should be up there this week. So if you're watching the Comics Aficionados and you're like, I can't watch the whole thing, hey, you can download it tomorrow in your car. You can finish up the episode. We've also got a couple other things that are on there as far as content from the channel that's going to be there. So if you would like, go and check it out on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all the major podcast networks other than Google right now. And you can subscribe to the channel and download the episodes there. That's very exciting. Also, if you're enjoying the conversation and you haven't given us a thumbs up or a like, what are you waiting for? Like the channel. And,
smash that button.
Like this video. Really appreciate that. Now let's move on. We got a few other things to talk about. That's obviously, one of the big things happening right now. But we also got some X-Men news this week. Planet Size X-Men is going to be kicking off the Hellfire Gala event, which is essentially going to be a 12-issue comic event about a dinner party amongst mutants.
Oh.
Eric, on my side, we often say that there are probably too many events in comic books as it is.
Yeah.
It feels like, do you think a 12-issue event series about a dinner party, can you make that exciting? You're creative.
That's a loaded question, Wes. I really, really like it.
The Red Wedding
do
house,
this
you can
already?
do it.
I don't know. The thing is, I don't know if we've normalized 12-issue mini maxi event series. I don't know if that's okay. And if that's the case, the best thing that we could come up with is a dinner party or like I don't know who that's built for, but I know.
I think-
tell you. I
there's
can tell
only-
you who it is.
Okay, well, there's only one way I think this could really do astronomical numbers of anything is if they red wedding it.
Yeah.
Kill off everyone or a lot of people in this. And that's what I feel like they're going to go towards. Otherwise, why are they having a
Well,
dinner
here's
party?
the problem, Jimmy. Have you been reading the X-Men under Jonathan Hickman?
I stopped reading all the X-Men because it was just,
It is
what's
too much.
the word?
Did
Bad.
you realize Resurrection is a part of the X-Men right now? So if you kill everybody, you just grow new ones.
Mhm.
But
So the Red Wedding would essentially be a waste of bullets.
yeah, okay.
Oh,
Now that you
boy.
say that, it reminded me they could come back. There's no need for a dinner party.
You got to know. your
Is it really
audience,
about a
man.
dinner party? Are you guys real? Is it real? Is that what they've advertised it as?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dinner
That's
Yes.
their
party.
marketing. They
You
marketed
guys
their
are-
last event as a gay soap opera, gay space opera.
They
Yeah,
did
it was.
not. Did they
They
really?
did.
That was Empire. That
was
wasn't an
that was
X-Men event.
Empire.
That was Fantastic Four and Avengers.
But
I'm
you've
sorry,
got to know your audience. It's almost trolling to be advertising the next X event as a 12-issue dinner party. I mean, I get a sense of trolling from Marvel. This week, the Amazing Spider-Man, they released his new costume. All the promo art that they showed for that was the most horrific promo art. When the issue actually came out, the costume didn't look too terrible. But they almost wanted the shock. They almost want
Oh,
the
I
shock
see.
factor.
They wanted people
Yeah.
to be mad.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
trying to they're poking their their customer base all the time.
It's like hate buying. They want hate buying, and it's like, well, sorry, that's already, that was a thing in 2018. Now everybody's kind of tired of it
A
already.
12-issue dinner party. Good God.
The X of Swords already had that. I mean, come
There were
on,
3
people.
issues of a dinner party in that one.
Do you
Oh
think
my
this was
God.
the intended reaction for us to be sitting here 6 people deep in a panel going like, effing dinner party, you know?
No, it's not the fall of the mutants. I remember, as a fan, getting excited for the big events.
For sure.
Not a single customer can be excited when they hear a 12-issue dinner party.
I get what you're saying.
And you get the
Yep.
kid strumming his ukulele, just they're all laughing amongst each other. I mean,
Is
it's
there
ridiculous.
art for the dinner party out already that they've
There's
used?
There's an invitation that's in some of the comic books to let you know the Hellfire Gala is coming.
I want
But
to
we
see.
haven't got there.
Well, on the bright side, it is going to look very beautiful because Pepe Larraz is going to be
Well,
doing the
he's
art.
doing
He's
the
doing
one
the first
He's doing
issue.
Planet
One-
size, but
Wait, he's only
there's
doing
11
one?
other X-Men comics, and so you're going to have an episode in Marauders, and one in X-Men, one in Wolverine. It's going to encompass the entire X-Men line.
Yeah, I think one of the courses is probably going to have to be Long Pig to really keep people's interest. So, it's that bad. So, and I don't think that they're really above that at this point. So,
I
it as
can't
it will.
believe how fast they pissed away the Jonathan Hickman goodwill that they built. I mean, it's just gone.
This
I
is
do
pretty
wanna
much
say-
the only Jonathan Hickman book I don't like.
I don't even think Jonathan Hickman has been writing the X-Men for the last year. I think he
Like-
throws in he's got a deal where they can use his name and he gives them a plot outline.
Secretly,
All right,
Vita
guys, hold
Ayala.
Star does it.
Daddy needs to speak. I need to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel. Great. Another X-Men event a month after we just finished an X-Men event. In the words of Charlie Brown, good grief, he's got a point. Now, Drew, what are you guys' thoughts over at Comics Elite? Are you excited about the Hellfire Gala? Have people been coming in and putting planet-sized X-Men on the poll?
I do know if there are exciting covers for this, they'll probably sell well for us. But honestly, I'm trying to see the drama in this event. I mean, is it going to be like where's the bread plate placement for issue 1?
It's got to be Emma Frost, right? Doing something behind the scenes, being conniving. It's got to be an Emma focused event.
Yeah,
Like
is
a
she going to
dinner
be in
party?
charge of the waiters at the dinner party? You know, are they going to be in charge of the uniforms? Are they going to have to be wearing black?
Yeah.
Black
I
S&M
think
garb?
that
White? Who knows?
I think it's going to be wearing virtually nothing. Is probably the way it's going to start out. So,
Look, for me, let me say this: I hope they make it work, because all those peoples, I hope they continue to get work. Because if this sucks, oh boy, I feel really, really bad for all of them.
yeah,
I hope they make it work too. It's just, but the initial release was essentially this is going to be a dinner party spanning 12 issues, which each issue, like, it sounds like it's going to focus on one character at the dinner party as they're announcing the newest members, I believe, of the Quiet Council and the new X-Men team. Because since X-Men has been around with Jonathan Hickman, there actually hasn't been an X-Men team. And, you know, the customers did get a vote, one of the members. But I just don't see the intrigue of the new official X-Men team.
You watch. They're
They're
going to
marketing
subvert
to
your
an audience that
expectation in the
doesn't
best
exist.
way possible. And they're going to have
That would
like
be awesome.
12 issues of action. You know what I mean? Like, we introduce it as a dinner party and 12 issues
Undersell
at
and
the end.
over-deliver.
I'm gonna call
Oh,
it right
God, I
now. If this is like a red wedding sort of thing, they're killing off the character we voted to be in the X-Men.
That would be
Just a
perfect. And
slap
then they
in
would
the face.
regrow them. But they need to
regrow
take
them
them to
the last
other world.
page.
No, they're gonna do like what they did with during the X of Swords. He can't come back. Sorry. No. he
Well,
just
I
can't.
mean, they end up just killing off Kitty Pryde. She can't come back, and they end up eating her. You know, it's like something weird happens. You know, just bizarro stuff, and you know, I really hope it does work out. But I just have to. I'm just sitting here scratching my head with, you know, I agree with Larry. Who is this for? Who really is this for? And it's like, it's not for my customers. I know my customers and what they love to buy.
They know it's not for their customers too. I mean, Jordan White wants, you know, a smug smile on his face with his pals in the office. I mean, we're going to advertise a dinner party. It's awful.
Yeah. This is for people
It's
that like go
constant
eat at the
troll.
laundry. Go eat at the French Laundry. You know, this
Here's
isn't for my
the
customers.
Spider-Man office. Here's Spider-Man's new costume, and they put out the worst promotional images, and people, you know, they actually wanted to shock, you know, Spidey fans into looking at the costume. And Marvel has too much of a troll motive.
Perhaps. So Joe Corallo, comic book writer and editor, is saying Jimmy finally watches Game of Thrones and now he wants the red wedding and everything. Jimmy, did you know that George R.R. Martin pitched a red wedding amongst DC characters to the editor before Dan Didio arrived? The publisher before Dan Didio.
That's baller. I had no
He
idea.
looked at it and he said it was too violent and too many characters died, so they readjusted it, and it turned out it's not nearly as exciting if you don't just murder everybody off.
Yeah.
What? Jesus. First off, I gotta say, I love Joe. Joe's awesome. And I finished Game of Thrones. What was that last season? It just felt so out of place.
Oh, you've already watched all of them?
Oh, dude, I finished Game of Thrones like 4 weeks ago.
Dude, it's just that last season. Actually, 7 and 8 were like a kick in the balls.
I didn't think 7 was that bad.
But-
and the only good episode in season 8 was the battle with the Night King.
That was fine.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was good.
fine.
Is that the one filmed in the dark?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one where John ended up just screaming at a dragon. It's like,
Which
oh,
also,
what?
if you think about the ending to that episode, Arya is a trained assassin now, yet she sneaks up behind the Night King and then just screams as loud as she can. It just, I don't know. The
Where did
last
she
season
jump
didn't
from?
work.
Where did she jump from? Holy hell. It's like, you know, they were out in the middle of a
crate.
field about 100 yards from anything. And she's like,
Listen,
in the air.
That was
Anyway.
a Game of Thrones joke. This is not the Game of Thrones panel.
All
That
right, all right.
show's been done for like 3 years.
I was gonna say We took a time travel machine too.
I'm not even
I love
excited
David.
for
I'm
Prince.
still salty. If you can't tell, I'm still salty. So.
We know you're salty because your wife was salty. She was not happy with the last
Oh
season.
God, we lost everything Game of Thrones in the house. All of the Blu-ray sets got thrown out. All
Did
of
you
the
lose the
posters,
cat
all
that
of the
was named
figures.
after the dragon?
Nobody got his name changed.
There you go.
And it's like everything
Jamie.
Game of Thrones in our house, except for my comic books, which I hid, she systematically went through and took everything out and gave it to Goodwill. And it's like, oh my God, she was doing her own Daenerys, just purging everything from the house. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just never going to be the same. So,
Yeah,
That's a
that
new
happens. All right, so does anybody else have something to say about Planet-Size X-Men? Pele, what are your thoughts on Jerry Duggan? I personally, I really like what he does with like Savage Avengers. I thought his Savage sort of Conan was off the hook, but his Cable so far, obviously we know it's getting canceled at issue number 12. Well, I don't know if it's canceled; it's ending at issue 12. I haven't really liked his Marauders. Are you surprised that they tapped him to be like the architect, at least for Planet-Size X-Men?
well, generic Duggan always finds a way. So it's just, I'm borrowing Doc. God bless you, Doc. That's awesome. But generic Duggan always finds a way, and he's not overly offensive for the most part, and he's not really inspiring, but he's not really overly offensive. So I guess he's kind of the go-to guy if they want to do something that doesn't want to turn everybody off. But it's mediocrity in action, and I just don't really expect much. So.
Yeah,
What do you think of the
can't build a
Planet-Size name?
Ugh,
Isn't that a strange name for a comic book?
it is.
It's
I
an
just-
innuendo. It's a.
Have they showed us the price yet? Is it a planet-sized price?
Oh, it's
I'm
gonna
sure it
be.
is. I'm sure it
Did
is. $9.99.
I didn't see it.
It's $9.99. I'm sure.
Oh,
Or
I'm
$8.99.
gonna check real quick.
They were giggling in the X office when they named it planet size after they priced it.
All right,
Well,
guys,
you
I'm
know,
gonna
some
need
of
to
those
excuse
issues are going
myself.
to be.
It's awesome to meet you.
Oh,
Great to
yes.
see
Thank you
you.
so much for having me. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Hey, it was
Thank you for
great.
joining us, Eric.
Before
I really
you-
do appreciate it coming in and talking about this. Hopefully, we'll have you on the channel again. Is there anything you're working on right now? I know you have a YouTube channel. Where can people
I
find you?
do. I'm also working on a mini series, soon to be crowdfunding mini series called Arc Athena.
Killer.
So if you don't mind getting updates from me, you can go to my website at ericcanetti.com. Get signed up for the newsletter. I upload a ton. I'm planning on uploading a ton of art as far as work in progress and all the process stuff up there.
What's
You
your
mentioned my
YouTube
YouTube
channel, Eric?
channel, Wes. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Eric Canetti. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram under that same name.
Go follow his
Awesome.
Instagram account. It is awesome. Great work.
I have
man.
a link to all that, but the Instagram account in the video description for Eric
Thank
and
you
all the
all.
other guests.
Good luck, Eric.
Thank you,
Bless
guys.
you, man.
Yeah, your Optimus
Thank
Prime
you.
is awesome. Love the Optimus.
Thank
He's
you.
the line master. He is the line work master. So.
I didn't even know who that guy was the whole time, and I was just like, "This is probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life."
Yeah, he's very, 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 very articulate.
Talented. Oh my God, his talent. The line work he does is just gorgeous.
His
And-
Snake Eyes Storm Shadow. Whew.
Oh,
I was like,
I was talking
so-
about Bernie Wrightson for a specific reason because his work, when he's really flowing like that, it reminds me so much of Bernie's better works, and it's just like, wow, it's gorgeous.
all right,
Okay,
so
Wait, hold
Doc-
on. I
hold
was
on, Doc
literally
has replaced Eric here on the channel. Doc, do you want to read your own super chat?
Yes, I will. It said this is generic Duggan's opportunity to write more Bad Family Ties scripts with X-Men's characters since Cable's canceled.
No, I think the whole Cable book
Supporting
was
the
a
Doc,
troll.
supporting the channel, Doc. I appreciate that.
You're
Cable.
welcome. Hey, and by the way, I know Eric's already gone, but dude, I have loved his work for years. I'm a huge fan of his old Wildstorm stuff. His Wildcats Ladytron original graphic novel was fucking dope.
That Eric Canetti. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
Off the
he's the
hook.
man.
Yes, his couple issues that he did of Mr. Majestic with Joe Casey. I loved everything that Eric's ever done with Joe Casey. I'm a big Joe Casey
No
fan.
wonder he
so-
just sold a piece for $5,000.
yeah,
Yeah, he's really good.
I was
really super
literally
talented.
just about to say it's probably best that Doc wasn't here for this segment because he would have been going off, and then you just add him right after Eric leaves. Okay,
You're welcome. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, beautiful.
had to have Eric. We knew Eric was going to have to leave because he had to go take care of some family business. So I had Doc sitting on the on deck circle.
Yes, sir.
Waiting to get in here.
I graciously gave my spot to Eric this morning as soon as Wes told me, "Hey, Eric's going to be on." I'm like, "But I already have 6 people." I'm like, "I'll sit out. It's fine. You have Eric on. He's fucking awesome."
I
was about to give Jimmy the bad news. And then Doc.
You're welcome, Jimmy.
We would have gone 70. Technically, I can have 10 people on the panel, but that would be a bit much. Now, Doc, I bet you're champing at the bit to talk about Planet Size X-Men Hellfire Gala, but we have already recorded a video on that.
Fine. Yeah.
So,
we already.
So that'll be up tomorrow.
Yeah, we already recorded that, so that'll be up tomorrow, and you'll get to hear my thoughts on still not giant-sized X-Men.
Well, I will give you this opportunity that we do have another X-Men topic. It's slated to come up next. Would you like to give just a few of your thoughts on Children of the Atom before we maybe give it over to Jimmy, who potentially liked the comic book?
If I had to pick everything wrong about Jason Aaron's X-Men, everything wrong about Brian Bendis's X-Men, how much you can waste Bernard Chang, that would be the way to describe this comic book. Everything that was wrong about all the worst X-Men runs recently, and then you stick them in a blender, maybe, and you just kind of play mix and match with poor characterization, Wolverine being Dadverine, Cyclops being kind of a douche, this weird, creepy love affair, like mutual admiration society between Jean and Storm for no particular reason. That was this comic. This is another instance of a writer that has absolutely no understanding of what the X-Men are, writing the X-Men. So good job. Sounds about par for the course for Marvel.
Hey, Doc, how do you think they wasted Bernard Chang?
Because you gave him
the art is off, and I can't put my. I'm a huge Bernard Chang fan. The art is off, and I can't put my finger on what is muddying it up.
He had.
So before we get to that, guys, fellas, we have a super chat from Lane Kramer. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. $10 is very generous. So I was a reader of Sandman Universe imprint books like Dreaming and Lucifer. I wanted to know from some retailers, how did those series sell? How was marketing handled? And why did DC forget about it? I'll send that one over to you, Larry. How did those Sandman Universe books sell?
Poorly as floppies, but always better as trade paperbacks. Once they were collected, they seemed to find their life. I don't think that the Sandman universe has really built new readers over the years. It's an existing fan base, and they consume it by trade paperback mostly.
Very interesting. Drew, did you have any thoughts on the Sandman universe stuff as far as sales and marketing?
Not really. I know we're keeping track of the back issue prices on those. We have some back issues of those. We're waiting for those to spike with the crossover coming up soon. But that's all I got to say about Sandman for right now. It's still a very niche market.
Do you think they'd sell more if it was just graphic novels and not floppies?
Maybe, but I think they pay for the graphic novel by releasing the floppies. They sell just enough of them that then everything's paid for, and then they just roll with the trades, hardcovers.
Okay, I want to kind of weigh in on this real quick. Just, I'm sorry, you done, Larry?
No.
I was just going to say, I'm seeing keys now. We're seeing keys like the First Death, and and other key characters, from that series starting to spike.
Yeah, they're going
really
crazy.
They're really taking off. Graded ones, 9.6s, 9.8s. First Appearance of Death, basically is sitting at about 80% higher than it was last year at this time. So it's really taking off. I think that by the middle of the year we're going to see peak Sandman as far as back issues and keys. So
my take on it, I'm not a retailer, but the target audience for Sandman stuff is generally not going to be a monthly comic reader. It never has been. It did well. I mean, and it was a cult hit, the original stuff back in the 90s, but it barely broke even sales-wise. It wasn't until it got into collected editions that, all the emo art chicks started getting super into Lucifer and The Dreaming and Death and Sandman, and then because they're going to coffee shops and
you're not even a retailer.
I know, but that's their target audience. And
Yes.
Well, it's kind of like the trade paperbacks always sell better, and and also I want to say that the first editions of some of those trade paperbacks and graphic novels are amazingly valuable. If they're in mint condition and you get one signed or something like that, you've got a four figure book. But but people are going back and getting the keys. They're going back Sandman #6. They're going back and picking those up now because they are, getting attention. And those people do want the very first appearance in floppy. So
when DC created Vertigo, they went after an entirely new audience. I mean, it was created to expand their existing base and to go after a new customer. Vertigo is one of the harbingers of women into comic shops. I mean, it made us mainstream.
And not just that, but people that are art forward collectors and art forward people in the hobby. Now, there weren't really that many of those back at the time. There were people that were in it for the stories and they liked the artwork, but the Vertigo line really pushed. Although the stories were good, some of them were better than others. They're really art forward. And it was like, this is beautiful. This is something we can present, as a piece of work, artwork as well as a story.
It showed the potential of what comic books could be to people, and I think I think Vertigo expanded the base for comics.
Yeah, I think it did.
Who would have guessed having a good writer and fan?
We got to get back on task. Thank you very much, Lee Craver, for supporting the channel. Let's get back to talking about Children of the Atom #1. Now, Jimmy, you really wanted to jump in there. Did you read the comic?
Did I read the comic? No, not yet. But
next person.
No, hold on. Here's the thing.
I got to go pee. I'll be back.
The description for it, though, it was set up so perfectly. Everything it had set up about it. I was like, okay, I want to read this. And then I got to this one line that says, it's a comic book trying to find its own premise. And then I hit the brakes. I said, okay, so you're telling me I need to buy into a story who obviously the writer is Discovery writer who is gonna find out
about
for himself.
Pretentious as fuck.
So much. And first off, if you're a Discovery writer, it's so hard to pull off. So hard. And getting it right, not even just pull it off to the point where it's, okay, that was a good ending, but pull it off to the point where it's like, it feels like it was perfect. It's hardly ever done. Why would I put myself through that?
And why would you ever trust Vita Ayala to be able to accomplish that? She has not proven the ability.
Oh my god.
She can't even proven the ability to write a straightforward superhero comic yet.
That's true. That's true.
Yet you somehow expect her to, do like drop you in situ and figure out and like get you up to speed. They don't even know what the hell they're writing yet.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention Vita Ayala.
Yeah, I know, but it's still who's writing it.
It kills me really that they're like, we don't know what the premise is yet, but just hang with us and we'll try to find one. It's kind of like, no, this is $6 an issue. You should have this already in your mind. You should know where you're going with this.
Thank you.
It was pushed back a year. This was pushed a year back. They had a year to change it if they could, to make it better. But
I think they toned it down. I was excited I thought this book was going to be just fun to goof on, and I think they rewrote it and kind of just, I don't know, genericized it.
Let's go back.
I'm confused of the big twisteroo on the last page. I don't know what it means.
It means they can't go through the portal.
Well, are they
because they're not mutants.
Yeah, are they first generation Chimera?
They're
not mutants, but what's the twisteroo? I don't get it.
Oh, it was definitely rewritten, and there was. I mean, well, the thing is, it was even redrawn. That's what I was going to get back to.
That might be the Bernard Chang.
Because if you look, apparently the digital release of this and the physical release are not the same comic.
No, really.
They're not. They have a number of there's at least a dozen differences between them where they would sometimes it were small things where like they'd reverse the position of a word bubble versus a caption box in the panels, but other times like the last page, there's two completely different last pages. The digital version one is a much better piece.
Describe it.
Okay, you know how the physical version you're looking kind of overhead and down at them while they're standing back against the portal, but they're still underneath that pier or whatever the hell they're at Coney Island, and it's just kind of a boring overhead down shot where you can see the jungle through the portal, but they're still under Coney Island. The other one is a low to the side shot where you can actually see Coney Island in the background, like literally like the whole thing. And it's actually like a much better shot. It's also up closer. Hold on. Actually, I think I can probably pull it up because Bleeding Stool did an article on it. Hold on.
That's just the first mistake of that sentence.
Yeah, that we let Bleeding Stool do anything.
Pretty much.
I know it. Gosh, that guy is awful.
Here, hold on. I got it.
Wait, Bleeding Cool's just one guy?
It's it's Rich Johnston and other people. Hold on. Here we go. Here are the two different pages. Can you guys see this?
Oh.
Okay, it's getting there. Oh, wow.
The one on the left is the digital version, and it was from literally an entirely different revision of the comic versus the one on the right, which we get from
one on the left is the print version.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay,
then print version with me.
Yeah, then the one on the right is the digital version.
I can't see what's happening in that.
The one on the left
that's intentional?
Well, it looks like actually. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? They changed the whole damn story.
Yes, the one on the right they make it to Krakoa, and the one on the left they don't.
Yeah. So they don't go through. I mean, this is just this is just cosplay X-Men. They've went from, well, no, we're going to make them real mutants, to nope, they are cosplay.
No, they're making them. They were always making them sidekick wannabes. But I don't think that they're not mutants. That's not real exciting for me. If there's something more to it, that's what I need. I don't know.
So, I mean,
Daycrawler, is he gay crawler? Huh?
Oh yeah. No, I
wouldn't put it past her to name Daycrawler. That this very low hanging fruit and easy enough to name.
Yeah, it wouldn't. Nobody. I mean, look, this book was just poorly done. They have no clue what the purpose of it is. It was, hey, let's write fanfic cosplay X-Men, and now suddenly they have to find a way to actually make it fit, even though it fit one way a year ago. Now it has to fit a different way today. They definitely had Bernard Chang redraw a number of pages in this, and that's
or Larry Doherty. I mean, some of the art is fucking terrible, and Bernard Chang is not a terrible artist. He's a crisp crisp line, good human expression artist. I love Bernard Chang, and some of these pages here were underwhelming. So
he's a little. I guess you call him almost antiseptic in a way. He's very.
Yeah, I
it's
really
almost,
liked him when he was Valiant.
And that's fine. That's fine. Some people really like. I like the busier kind of, like take the Batman 423 T-shirt that this wonderful gentleman over here is wearing. That's one of my favorite pieces by Todd McFarlane, by the way. Mm-hmm. But it's a different aspect. But yeah, he's got an antiseptic type of clean style. So,
yeah, I do like him, and I did not like the art in this book.
I for a second there, Pele, I thought we were going to turn into like the Home Shopping Network and be like, and look what Drew is modeling for us.
I sold so many damn shirts. I've sold so many 423 shirts you cannot believe, man.
But anybody else got anything to say on?
I thought the first issue was generic. I wanted to goof on it more. I wanted it to be more cringe. For me, it wasn't as cringe as I thought it was going to be. I don't understand what if the twist is just that they're humans. I mean, that blows. Kind of still from the beginning. I want Chimera. Chimera Generation 1 Chimera.
I believe these are going to be humans that identify as mutants, and I'm not joking. And will Krakoa accept it?
Oh my
God. That's this entire book is an elevator pitch. They're humans that identify as mutants, and then they gave her a book.
Then why did they kick Franklin to the curb? Because he's the ultimate mutant that identifies as a human and identifies as a mutant.
Well, I think that was Dan Slott's doing outside of the X-Men office.
Well, the other thing is on this. This feels like a really, really, really bad pitch way to bring back another Grant Morrison concept, the U-Men, that were run by John Sublime, where they were basically humans that were getting mutant organs transplanted into them in order to become. Yeah, it was kind of like this weird body horror thing.
That's kind of sick, though. Like it's kind of dope.
It is. I mean, but it was. I mean, it's a Grant Morrison pitch, so at least the pitch is going to have some sort of meat behind it.
Well, how they get their powers, how they build their powers. That's the next shoe to drop, I guess.
But their powers are genetic.
Well, here's the thing. I'm almost going to guarantee this turns into some weird gene therapy thing that people don't know, because there was one scene in it with the one basketball player that came back, and you find out in just one little flashback panel he had been in the hospital, but now he's back and he's stronger than he was before. And why? It's going to end up being some weird, I didn't know that they did gene therapy on me thing.
Chimera. First generation Chimera.
Yeah, except for it's going to be done by somebody that's not Sinister. That's
one of Sinister's minions.
So I need to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel with the super chat. The entire writing team as a whole has been doing a piss poor job on these X books. Percy's Wolverine being the exception. Well, I would also say that Zeb Wells' Hellions is certainly an exception as well.
Yeah. Doc,
I know you're the X-Men historian. What do you think about in the context? This isn't X-Men red, yellow, and blue bad, is it?
No. This is... I just say this is Jason Aaron X-Men bad. So a complete misunderstanding of what you're writing, and then just writing whatever the fuck you want. But use X-Men characters. That's what this really feels like. Not necessarily, it's not Tom Taylor bad, but it's definitely Jason Aaron bad.
There you go.
I thought it'd be worse.
I wanted it to be worse. At least then I could shit on it. This was just bad.
I'm sorry.
If they're humans that identify as mutants, and they had to somehow augment their powers, and this somehow augmenting their powers leads to the Generation 1 Chimera program, I don't know. That's a decent bridge book for me.
Okay, go ahead.
It has nothing to do with that. I don't give a shit.
Go ahead, Teddy Bear. Tell us where we're wrong. Go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't gonna tell you that. I was gonna say I'm sorry. I was not gonna put myself through a book that didn't even know what itself was. What? No, it just pisses me off.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot
I
of
can
things.
understand that.
It's kind of a discombobulated mess. There's so many different directions in that. Now, I think we'll kind of move on. Thank you so much to Kenneth for supporting the channel.
Thank you, Kenneth.
We got a few more topics to get into. So the next up, we had DC Comics recently announced their Pride #1 book. Obviously, Marvel followed suit with their Marvel Voices. Times have certainly changed at DC Comics. It wasn't all that long ago with basically the creative team, I believe it was Batwoman, quit because they wanted to have the first female-to-female marriage in a comic book. Mm-hmm. Now they have DC Pride #1 coming out. I did get some pushback from viewers that thought I should have been upset with this one. It's a DC Comics, celebrating Pride. I don't read the DC anthologies that celebrate Halloween or Valentine's Day either. It's not really a big deal to me. They're not going to be interrupting any comics I read with this, and they're not going to be changing any of the characters as far as I can tell. It's tough for me to get up in arms about this one. Just, hey, Drew, as a retailer, do you think DC Pride is something that's going to be a big mover?
So I'm going to try to tread carefully with this the subject, but I know a certain number of people are going to be excited about this. That's great. That's awesome. Good for you. Perfect. I do know we're probably going to order the bare basic amount, despite the Jim Lee and Tamara Bondvillain cover, which is great. We know that they'll probably sell. It's a Jim Lee cover. It doesn't matter what's on the inside. It's Jim Lee. It's probably going to sell well. But it's just when you have stories like this where it's mostly I'm not going to say it is, but it's a good possibility it's going to be focused mostly on more or less propaganda,
activism.
Like Milestone Zero and Women of Marvel, for example. I have no reason to believe it wouldn't be any different than those. Just more lecturing, browbeating, and talking down to the reader, as opposed to actually telling a story in character development. It's the big propaganda.
Voices.
I might as well bust out a bingo card, like straight white people, evil. There's a B. All right. This could be a hard swing and a mess, but we'll see what happens.
So not that long ago, obviously after the tragedy down in Miami, there was an anthology book similar to this called Love is Love. That book sold well over 100,000 copies, I believe. So there is some precedence for a book of this nature doing actually quite well. But obviously that was in support of that event, and I believe the proceeds went to the victims of that. And I'm sure that contributed to that. But at least there is some precedence for a book, an anthology book about LGBTQ. I think it's IA plus now. Characters doing well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, it was close to that event. It was close to that horrible tragedy, and I think that's what drove it. And also, yeah, they were the proceeds were going to support a trust for the victims' families and stuff like that. So that's I get that. That's awesome, and I have nothing but respect for people that are trying to help victims. This is DC pandering #1, as far as my opinion, and it is what it is, and it doesn't get on my nerves because I know that it's an event, it's whatever, it's not going to be anything for anybody else. It's for a specific group, and that's what they do. That's fine.
I don't see this as a big deal. I think it will sell well because it also has a first appearance of a character in it. So everyone loves their first appearances, so they're going to go out and buy it.
DC's getting very smart with their marketing too, because Jim Lee made a point soon after they announced this of going on all his social medias and announcing that it's the first appearance of a character too. They know that people look at the keys,
first
man.
appearances.
Oh well.
I'm just saying,
I just the only thing I give a shit about this is I hope they don't make a terrible fucking cringy story with the Midnighter and Apollo, because I love them.
I wouldn't put it past them. You never know.
I know. I don't trust. I literally don't trust anyone to write the Midnighter and Apollo. since Wildstorm shut down, except for Steve Orlando. Everyone else that has touched either of those characters has done it incredibly poorly.
Steve
I know they
Orlando's
wouldn't let him, but
Midnighter
they had
was
Mark
great.
Millar come on and write a great Midnighter Apollo story. That would be awesome.
Yeah, Mark Miller's the one that actually brought them out of the closet because it was just hinted at during the Ellis era. He's the one that made them, openly gay, and everybody fucking loved it.
Sean and I have talked about that during our reviews. That's an example of a relationship where we knew that they were gay. We knew that they were together, but they didn't make it the focus of the comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was character building, not the reason that character exists.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
that makes
I
a
don't
difference.
mind anthologies, and I don't mind theme cover variants, especially if they're cool. And if I was a publisher, I would do a Pride book during Pride Month. So, I mean, it's decent marketing. It's coming out at the right time. There'll be awareness for Pride Month, and there'll be a Pride Month product from DC. I'm in.
And you got Jim Lee doing the cover, so that's huge right there.
With the first appearance of a character, I mean, they've everything seems to be, for promotion. They've done their work. Let's see how it goes.
And if everything else fails, we got Jim Lee on the cover. That's all that matters.
That comic collectors, comic readers are typically a rather progressive group of people.
Of course, art. I mean, Mike, definitely.
I've had 3 customers talk to me about this, or about DC Pride, and it's like, okay, not a lot of buzz going on here, and I've got a pretty progressive. Maybe it's just my area of the country because this is Appalachia, but I ordered I think 15 copies, and I'm not sure if I'm going to sell them, so don't know.
Oh wait, Steve Orlando is writing the Midnighter story. Awesome.
Yes, he is.
Good. Then I have less fear.
Yeah,
I don't think that's fair. The super chat, but go ahead.
So yes, you murdered that guy. I think he's supporting the chat. He's saying it's queer bait. Well, potentially. I just think it's
he's not wrong.
No,
it's
pandering, but they also pander to horror fans
promotion
during Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pandering.
The publisher is creating a product for Pride Month. It's Pride Month.
Yes.
I mean, they're jumping on a worldwide promotion. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's no different than doing stuff for Black History Month or Halloween or
Women's History Month.
Exactly.
They do genre books to celebrate, events that happen within months.
I bet it's going to sell as well as other DC, to the level of that other DC anthologies and themed months have sold.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's going to do anything better or worse than all the other ones.
Exactly.
Well, it might do better because there is the first appearance of a character that is in the CW Arrowverse.
Announcing a first appearance of a character, is going to draw in speculators. So it is going to do a little better for me.
But what character is that?
That brings an interesting point for that Batgirl 50. Didn't the one new Batgirl show up in that issue? And I don't know how much, if that's spiked.
It spiked, but
At
I
all.
didn't have any. I mean, I completely missed it. It was out of print. I mean, as soon as I wanted to order more, I couldn't get more of that.
It spiked for about a month, and then it died down to around $8 for another month.
Double
The
cover.
new
I'll take
character
that.
is Dreamer.
Dreamer.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yep.
I can feel the love, guys.
Yes,
Something's-
that's exactly what it is. No, I mean, look, I think the one problem that you're going to have with that is that I think, especially with the way DC has just inundated us with first appearance of new characters over the past 2 years. I mean, they're essentially, as I've been saying for a couple of months now, they're just copying Marvel's homework from 2012 to 2016, where Marvel was doing the exact same thing. It didn't work out very well for them. But for a while you had those initial spikes but I think they're already reaching the point where that first appearance of a new character isn't the selling point it was 6 months ago.
I think it's more now with the phone apps the phone apps are telling people what to buy. I think that the first appearance of new character is minimum 25% more sales for me.
You could be right. I don't know. I mean,
That's what I'm seeing. I'm
Okay.
seeing people, if it
Cool.
makes it onto the Key Collector app, I mean, people add it to their pull list day of. As soon as it appears on that list, people are adding it to their piles. You either have them or you don't.
And the
So,
problem
it's a
that
big
I've
thing.
seen, though, the problem I've seen is the fallout of that is none of those books go up in value.
I wouldn't say that. We're in unprecedented territory this year.
They do
Things have been
for
crazy.
about 60 days,
Yeah,
90 days.
there's a
and
window
then
of
they're bargain
opportunity.
bin fodder.
I mean, like I grabbed that Wonder Woman future state just for the, I don't know, ass check.
That book has huge long-term potential, though.
It might. It went straight
My
into
opinion.
it went
Booty
straight into
sales.
my it went straight into my filing cabinets. But I mean, I didn't even bother to flip it open. But the thing is, I mean, if I wanted to sell it right now, I'm still selling it for cover price.
Full below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's with
So
speculation. It's about windows of opportunity. When that book peaks to sell that book. I mean, that book.
Looking at future state, keys, I still can't keep, the Swamp Thing future state in stock, and they're selling for, $25, $30 for one, and 10 to 15 for the
That
number two,
that hurts
so.
me so bad because I had that on my poll list, but they didn't give me one, but they gave me issue 2.
That
I'm
sucks.
so mad.
I think there's one comment in the chat right now that is very very prescient. More copies of DC Pride will go to CGC than will ever actually be read.
Well, that might be true. I do need to say thank you to You Murder That Guy for $5 Canadian. It's different because they don't signal their virtue with Halloween anthologies. Well, potentially.
I find
we haven't
customers that
read-
buy anthologies to be real readers. So I think a lot of them are going to get read.
As far as whether DC Pride will be virtue signaling, I have no idea because I've never seen it. This is the first one that they've ever done. So I do think people are getting, are gun shy, and I don't blame them from what we've seen from the industry in the past. But DC, historically, in the last 10 years, has been less of that nature than Marvel, but they do seem to be changing their stripes a little bit. So we don't know until we haven't seen the comic book. I don't blame you for assuming that. I think you murdered that guy. All right. Does anyone else have something to say about DC Pride #1?
I'm
In
excited.
the name of love.
Do good.
Sorry.
I want it to do good.
There you go. Well, there's certainly precedents for it to do good, but we shall see. We got another event book coming out. This is the event that we all thought went away. Event Leviathan. We were going to get a sequel, Leviathan Checkmate, from Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev. It disappeared for a very long time. I thought it had just been canceled altogether, but it is being resolicited. It's no longer Event Leviathan Checkmate. It is just Checkmate. It's going to have the same team of DC Comics detectives, trying to figure out, I don't know what now, since they know who Leviathan is.
Leviathan was the only Bendis DC work that I liked.
You are crazy. This book sucks. Did you not read his Batman book that everyone liked?
Okay,
Event
did you just
Leviathan-
say his Batman was bad?
Oh,
I didn't say that. I said, did you
no,
not
it was
read it? That was the one good book he had.
Oh,
But Event Leviathan was basically just a bunch of characters recapping what happened before. Oh my goodness, I upset Larry. More likely his phone ran out of power, but it could have happened.
How dare you misspeak about Checkmate? Jeez.
Oh, there he is. Maybe he was just toying with this. Larry, did I
I'm back.
upset you?
I'm in the back. Hello.
I'm excited for this book.
Are you? You're not
I'm
as excited
shocked.
as Larry is.
I'm more excited. Give me any reason to buy any Alex Maleev
Bendis.
art. Oh, I want
Yeah, we got our books yesterday too, and need to go digging through our boxes.
Give me any reason to buy any Alex Maleev. I'm there. Alex
Good.
Maleev's
I agree.
fantastic.
I loved Leviathan.
I liked Leviathan until the ending, but
Yeah, it was a little
or should I say not the ending because it didn't really end.
This is this event is the exact same thing as Marvel Outlawed and all the other stuff. All the things that we thought we were going to get to avoid that sounded like terrible ideas that they were talking about in January of 2020 that we thought we escaped, like Dark Days and Event Leviathan and Outlawed. No, we're just getting them now.
Yeah.
Well, Bendis said this was coming out for like over 6 months.
Yeah, they
So
just
I'm surprised
repackaged
like people
something
are
that they
still
didn't-
surprised about it.
They had that in stock. They're republishing it.
Yes, Shane Paula says, Check Leviathan sounds like it's a DC book they were contractually obligated to sell. I think it's more like I think they probably already paid Bendis's page rate at his
And they
original
had it
page
on
rate
hand.
when he
They
was
had
still
it on hand, so
exclusive.
they're squatting it out.
It was probably quite expensive to produce, and certainly they wanted to recoup a little bit of that money.
I will say, guys, if you didn't like Bendis' Superman work, his Justice League coming out this week is a little bit better. I liked it.
Hey,
So you're saying there's a chance.
If there's any consolation to seeing that the publishers aren't going to let shit that they already paid for just die, even though nobody wants it, it means that we will eventually get that terrible new Warriors book, and then we can all laugh our balls off.
I'm looking forward to that so much.
You say that, Doc, but I wanted to laugh my balls off with Children of the Atom, and we didn't. They
they might.
So
fuck
they've got
up
some
and actually-
slob. They've got some slob scribbling over the pages of New Warriors, and we're not going to get the giggle fest that we thought we were going to get. They will publish it, but they're going to change the shit out of it.
That's a good point. God damn it! I want maybe we'll get lucky and they'll fuck up and publish the digital version with the old revision.
I thought they released the trade paperback. I had ordered the trade paperback from a bunch of different places to get it, and it never came out. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually really excited.
We do have a super chat from Lane Kramer. He says, "Is this a bad sign for Infinite Frontier? My comic shop that I had Infinite Frontier Zero on sub, they put all the Infinite Frontier titles into his pull, and he put a lot of them back. Is that a bad sign, Pele, when your comic shop is loading you up with comics that you didn't ask for?"
Yep. Yeah, that's well, we either get blamed for not putting the person's, what they want in there, or we get crucified for pushing books at them. And it's like, I typically like to err on the side of caution, and they can always be put back. It's like, I've got little pamphlets out. If you see something that's in your box, you are not obligated to buy it. This is our our recommendation based on your pull list. And it's a situation where you can't win, you can't lose. It's just win or lose. You might as well just go ahead and put it in there. But it's bad of that because we had so many sitting on the counter. And these events like this, we get so many of them sitting on the counter. Just oh, I didn't want this. Just in their piles over there on the counter, where people just went through their folder and said, "Well, I didn't want that."
One thing DC's been doing that's smart is their rate of release. If you've noticed, every single week they're just squatting out 6 books. So it's a manageable, finite amount. You're not over 6 books a week isn't going to overwhelm anybody. But when they're squatting out too much, when you feel like you can't afford it all, that does overwhelm customers and turn them away.
Well, 6 books a week at $3. $6. 6 books at $3 is less than a $20 bill. 6 books at $5 is that's $30, and that gets attention.
And gas is $4 a gallon.
No,
shit's more expensive.
It's $2.25 here.
Now.
It's $2.25 here. You need to go.
I wish I lived in Appalachia.
There you go.
I can get a haircut for 50 cents here.
There you go.
It's a bull.
Well, you're like a plantation owner or something over there, Wes.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, I got to dip out. We're getting ready to do a live sale here in a couple minutes. It's
See you,
great
bud.
chatting with you guys. Wes, thank you for having me on.
Good seeing you.
Check out Brian Reed's Miss Marvel. It's fantastic. Find them on Amazon. Great reads.
Oh, it is.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Buddy.
What is it?
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Who's Miss
Take care.
Marvel? I'm curious.
Brian Reed's.
So is it a take on the Miss Marvel character, or is it an
No.
new Miss Marvel?
No, it was the one that came out around the time of Civil War.
Okay.
It was a much better done Carol Danvers than what we got. I mean, it lasted for about 50 issues.
Okay. So we're not talking about Kamala Khan.
No.
Okay.
Brian Reed
Yep,
doing
I know the
Carol
series.
Danvers. Yeah. It was good.
There you
And
go.
I think it does have some upside still because there was a lot of really fun stories in that book.
Carol Danvers is a great character, I think. I mean,
So-
just a current creative team is.
She was
Wrecked
so cool when she was Ms. Marvel.
There you go. When
So
we're talking
getting
about
back to Lane's
Warbird.
question,
Yeah.
it sounds like it could be a bad thing if they couldn't get rid of all the comics and they're just trying to load them on it, or it could be a good thing that your comic shop is looking out for you and trying to predict what you might want to be looking for, and they don't want you to miss out on one of these primo new DC comics. They're great.
Exactly. I
You've
do it
gotta
on a
read the
case by
customer.
case basis. That's exactly right, Pele. You got to know who you're dealing with, who you filling the folder for. Do they like your recommendations? Are they people on a budget? You gotta know your audience.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got some people out there that, if you put a book that's not on their pull list in there, they're going to throw the stapler at you, or you're going to get cussed at. Or you got the other group of people that, would rather die than miss an issue of something that is in their wheelhouse. So you've really got to
Some people come
weigh.
in budgeted, man. They know that they're spending $33 and they don't have 34. I understand that. And some people, they don't want to miss a key. They don't want to miss a new creative team. They don't want to miss events, special stuff. You share similar tastes with them.
Mm-hmm.
They want everything good, everything you tell them. You gotta call the shot. You gotta know who you're dealing with.
I love
You
those
either
people.
fill or don't fill.
As
I love those
long
people.
as long as the shop doesn't have any policies on you have to buy what's there, then it's honestly, I think it's good. I mean, and as long as they know that you're not going to feel awkward about saying, dude, I didn't buy this. I didn't ask this.
If
Yeah,
I
I've
like
had,
a book,
I
I'll
have
do it.
customers.
All right, guys.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
We got
Sorry.
another super chat. I want to say thank you very much to Lane. Kenneth Dowling, also thank you for supporting the channel. Opinion on Future State Infinite Frontier, completely unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary. I will say this about Future State. I think in the end it might backfire on them because they've given away what's going to happen in so many of their stories.
Mhm.
But if
Nope,
you're going to
those
reset the...
Those are
yeah,
all
the-
possible futures. Possible futures.
Really? Are you reading DC? Are you reading Batman and Detective Comics?
Yeah.
Does the
Yes.
Magistrate feel like a possible outcome to you?
The magistrate, yeah, but you don't know how it's going to end. They didn't really get that ending is not necessarily the future that
But they-
we're in the current day.
That's where they're going, if you
It's
haven't
going.
noticed.
Yeah. The
I have
map
a
is
feeling-
already been
Possibly.
drawn.
I have a feeling
You're
'cause they're
buying
gonna-
into that bull crap, Larry?
I was ready to hate Future State. Hate
I
it.
didn't
And I
hate all of it.
didn't hate all of it. Some of it
Yes.
was really poorly done.
Yep.
And I was pretty pleased with, how it sold. And anything that I had left over this week, I started sending back on returns. And I kept what I wanted to keep, and the rest is going back 100% returnable.
Well, that's very nice. What I am saying is telling people a portion of the end state for Batman, certainly with the new Teen Titans Academy, appears that Superman is getting ready to go to War World in the Superman comics, giving away where a lot of these stories are going specifically was probably not a good idea, but they did have to use the art, they did have to use the stories, they already spent money on it, so I guess they had to do Future State.
Yeah, I mean, Swamp Thing's already. I mean, Future State was present state for Swamp Thing. I mean, it's like it's so. Yeah, it is what it is.
I love Future State Swamp Thing.
Oh God, it's
I
the
just-
best. It was the best.
I just
Yep,
hope
great book.
that
War World Superman was great. The first part of that thick book, I love that.
I'm hoping that they mostly end up using a lot of Future State as, oh shit, we narrowly avoided becoming.
Yeah. You know what's the thing? Because they're like the magistrate sort of thing is they killed off Alfred and they're gonna bring him back. And I just have this weird sense that the magistrate is Alfred.
No, the Magistrate is Simon Saint brings the
Yes.
Magistrate online in
Yep.
cooperation with Mayor
We
Nakano.
just met him in Batman 106.
I still don't think that's it. I'm sorry. I think that's just like a red herring.
James Tynion is a lot of things, but he's not a troll. There's no way he would do that because he knows people would stop reading his comic book.
I love
He's
his
not
Batman.
talking.
I don't think he would do that. I think that other creators might.
Tom King would do that.
Tom King's an asshole.
You know,
He
yeah,
would do
you're
that
right.
in a
Tom King
heartbeat.
would do that.
Yeah, you can't conflate the two. He's a completely different creator. He's more into what the fans like.
Talk about a guy
Thank you very
who
much to Kenneth
sandbagged his
Allen, by the way.
reputation. Tom King announced a Supergirl series, and I mean, I haven't had anybody mention that they want it. He used to be the king. He's really.
Queen can't sell anything anymore.
That's not true. His Strange Adventures was shipping like 55,000. There are a few other creators in comics that could ship 55,000 of an issue of Strange Adventures.
I'm curious what the last issue sold because my sales on it.
We can't see the numbers anymore because Luke doesn't release them. It's very confusing. All right, so is anybody else excited for Bendis's checkmate, and we're finally going to get the conclusion to event?
I am. You're going to be excited for his Justice League because it's a tick above average, and I expected that to be a train
Is Shazam in that Justice League comic?
Nope. He specifically says
That was a
my
joke.
name is Adam.
And
not
David
named Shazam.
Marquez said that was supposed to be taken as a joke that everyone just ran with.
Mm-hmm.
Bendis has a terrible sense of humor.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
why.
funny. Why would he do that to himself?
Bendis sucks. Always blame Bendis.
It's certainly at his time as DC. So I think we're going to have to get into some of these next topics. That's one people have been waiting to hear about. We've got a new Spider-Man costume. Obviously, Larry talked about that a little bit, but we've also got Chameleon Conspiracy coming up. We're going to have Marvel Amazing Spider-Man shipping weekly. We're also going to get a giant-sized Spider-Man. So, Doc, I've heard some people have said that this new Spider-Man costume goes against everything Peter Parker stands for. He's taking money to go out there and fight crime. But you have a different take, don't you, sir?
Yes. The only people that think that are people that never read fucking Spider-Man. And that think that Tobey Maguire is the be-all, end-all, or Tom Holland. The number of times that Peter tried to monetize Spider-Man over the years is astounding. And the only problem was he always came to the same problem, which is every time they go to write a check, it's to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man can't have a bank account. So Spider-Man can't cash a check. So he has to either give up his secret identity to get paid or not get paid. He's tried to monetize his likeness more times than I can count.
Peter Parker's a genius level intellect, and he has people write him a fucking check to Spider-Man.
No, well,
That's pretty funny.
Cash.
No, there were times back in the 70s and 80s where he ran into somebody that was like making like T-shirts and stuff, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a cut," and they wrote the check to Spider-Man.
Yep.
And he's like, "Well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?" And they're like, "Well, I can write it to you. You have to tell me your name."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Spider-Man can't even get a Venmo account because he still has to connect it to his damn name.
Just leave the recipient blank, and it was like, well, okay.
Yeah, like literally this conversation goes with the first one that I wasn't here for about crypto. Spider-Man can start asking for payment in Bitcoin or Ethereum because up until now he has tried to monetize his image, his likeness, his behavior more times than I can count. So the only people that think that this is going against who Spider-Man is are people that have never read Spider-Man.
Right.
Are you saying Spider-Man wishes he was a mercenary?
Sometimes he does. He wishes he could that he could be Deadpool and actually get paid.
Well, being broke perpetually for as long as he has been, with the exception of when he was a billionaire for a short period of time, does wear on a person. So yeah, I mean, he sold his photos to the person he hates the most in the entire world. I mean, come on, he hates Jameson with a passion, but he's got to make the rent. So it is what it is.
He hates J. Jonah Jameson more than he hates the Green Goblin.
No.
Oh no, Jameson's just one of those people though that just you could tell it just gets so far under his skin though that he wishes he could pound his head into the ground. But it is what it is.
I'm indifferent to Nick Spencer right now, but I'll tell you, I'm flipping through this. I really like Patrick Gleason on the book.
Oh, he's so great.
Honestly, I thought that this was, out of all the issues he's done so far, this particular issue was easily his laziest.
I disagree.
I don't say
Disagree
laziest. I
entirely.
would say weakest.
Patrick Gleason?
I think it was his weak. I think it's his weakest of his Spider-Man
Spider-Man
issues. I don't think it's bad, but I just think compared to some of the other issues he's done, it's kind of weak.
It's still really good.
I always judge Spider-Man books by how they draw the people. I just love it. Great book.
Bad Gleason is like, you know, better than best of most other people, though. So it's like,
Yeah, you're not
That is
wrong.
so
there.
true.
Although
I, thank you to Kenneth Dowling. People are fussing about Spidey's new costume, and it's only going to be here for 2 issues. And the plot of the story is kind of silly. It is very silly.
It's because it was marketed. It was marketed. They didn't give you a time frame for it, and they marketed it with purposely bad artwork. Marvel is in the habit of trolling their customer base, and they gotta just stop it.
Did the story feel meta to you, Larry? Like, Spider-Man is selling out and taking this new costume, but then Marvel used this new costume to sell out and spike sales, even though it's not going to play anything into the overall path of Spider-Man.
That's a bold point, Wes. I didn't think about it like that, but maybe.
There you go. It felt meta. Did it feel meta to you, Doc?
Maybe a little bit, but honestly, it was more along the lines of, hey, this kind of felt like back in the day whenever you'd have X-Men arcs that would go forever and ever and ever, and it would be one thing after another, and then they'd have that like kind of interlude issue or two where they're playing baseball and just kind of starting to set up the conflict for the next 20 or 30 issues. I felt like that's what this is. It's kind of his breather issues, and they had to do.
It also felt more like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man than Amazing Spider-Man.
It did. It was
Tom Taylor atrocity.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I would say the other friendly, the one from the early 2000s. There was another Spider-Man that they added in around the time of shortly before Civil War.
Did Spidey fans need a breather, Doc? Do they need a breather from all the seriousness that we've been getting with Last Remains and the Fallout?
Honestly, I think so, especially after the last issue where Peter's crying in a theater. And honestly though, but this week, if you wanted that kind of just like badass, full force, you could have gone and read Nonstop Spider-Man, which was really, really good.
mm-hmm.
Here's something I have to say.
Really good too.
Yeah,
Something about Spider-Man being a billionaire and then losing all his money. I like to listen to like Dave Ramsey a lot and the way he talks about money, and he says that millionaires who lose their money know how to become a millionaire again.
Mm-hmm.
So
he never became it in the first place. That's the problem. He got dropped into it. He was more like a lottery winner because Doc Ock's the one that actually built that the first time.
Well, shouldn't he still understand the business part after he found out how to do that and then come back again?
Not really.
He lost his billions, man.
That's the reason, because he wasn't able to keep it because he didn't build it in the first place. He's essentially a lottery winner.
Plus, also,
if I take somebody that doesn't have that doesn't have money, they're working class, nothing wrong, blue collar person, and give them $1 billion, they're going to revert to the blue collar state probably within 10 years because they don't know how to maintain and keep it. They don't know how to build it. They don't build wealth. They spend wealth.
Would be hard.
They spend wealth. They don't build wealth.
He's a
mentality.
Genius. He should invent something that would sell billions of dollars anyway.
There's a lot of geniuses that are broke.
That are poor. Yeah.
Because they don't know business.
That's fair.
There's a lot of geniuses, like artistic geniuses in the comic industry, and they're still all fucking broke too.
Yeah.
It would be
Just
a
because
genius editorial move to make Nick Spencer move on.
Honestly,
I would love for him to handle the One More Day thing at least within the next 25 issues.
Peter has always sucked with money. That's the problem. He's never been good at it. And when he did have money, it was because somebody else did it for him. And then when he was responsible for maintaining it, he couldn't because he sucks with money. I mean, look at how many NBA and NFL players end up broke within 5 years when they made $100 million over their career.
99%.
Kenneth Dowling, that is a good question for the writer of the book.
He's asking you. It says Jimmy. So when's Batman going to get his money back?
That's a good question for the writer of the book, man.
It's not been that long, so he'll.
Although, if anyone would get their money back instantly, it would be Batman.
Really?
I think all that he's the smartest person. He's definitely the smartest person.
Lucius Fox runs his business for him.
No, but he's still smart as hell. He should be able to get
I've
his
already
money
explained
back.
to you, smart people aren't always rich.
No, but he should be good with money too, because he also ran for a period of time.
He spent so much. He spent it faster than he earned it. Batman was always developing,
Lucius
designing.
Fox is keeping him above water.
Right.
Yeah, he basically had
Tynion's
an
got
accountant.
Batman in a very interesting place, I think.
He really does.
He basically had an accountant that would, put a limit on his spending.
Right.
That's what.
Well, if he was smart, he could sell all the businesses he's inquired, and then get his money back like that.
He can't because they belong to Lucius Fox now.
Yeah.
Oh, so all of those two, everything. Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was just
he's
Wayne.
the richest man in Gotham now. I do want to say thank you very much to Everett Todd for supporting the channel. Tony can register the Iron Man as an entity, but Peter can't set up a corporation to manage Spidey branding and hire himself in a costume. Tony Stark is a great businessman.
Yes, and
was
Peter
selling
sucks.
weapons.
Peter's a Dumbo.
Yes.
Now Tony's like the anti-Batman as far as that's concerned. He inherited money, yes, but he grew that company to a 1,000-fold beyond where it was. So.
Yeah.
So Bruce never grew the company. He just drew off what Daddy gave him.
Lucius Fox built on it. Lucius Fox built on, and Bruce, tried to keep from bankrupting.
Did Bruce hire Lucius Fox?
No, Lucius was executive of the company before he was.
I wish Eric Breen was here.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a case of he at least Bruce was smart enough to have let somebody that was better at business than him run the business.
Exactly.
Peter never did that, and Tony knew how to do that.
Peter should have, married Doc Ock off to Aunt May legitimately and put him in charge of the board.
Yes. He would have been like, hey, you want a clone body? I'll give you a clone body. It's cool. And then you can be young and not sick and everything, and you can run this company. Just hook
But you
me
can't
up.
shag my aunt because then it's weird because it's my body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I bet they were very passionate.
Oh man.
Well, we give Nick Spencer some ideas for some places to go with Spider-Man.
Oh no,
Jesus, man.
that's somewhere I don't think anybody should go. No.
It's the Ultimates all over again.
There's a lot of weird stuff in the Ultimates.
Yes, we know.
What is
It's a
happening,
really good
guys?
story.
I'm
I
crazy.
want to say thank you very much to Everett Todd for supporting the channel. Sorry if I interrupted.
No, you're fine. No, but look, Peter sucks with money. He was never good at it. And I felt this was a good interlude. And it doesn't, regardless of what fucking Screen Rant of all people have to say about this, about this story, maybe somebody at Screen Rant should start picking up an actual fucking comic book. Because
why are we getting news through Screen Rant?
Because the comic media sucks, dude.
Yeah, they've got
Capitalism
everything just
bad.
ass backwards.
It's capitalism bad.
It's not even that. It's just comic media is terrible.
Marketing terrible, yeah.
And it's shill. It's the media that is there is shill or dumb.
Also, please, Marvel needs to stop using the word conspiracy in any Spider-Man book because people have like this nostalgia factor. I don't. That's ridiculous. Conspiracy needs to never be used in a comic book title again unless it's by Ed Brubaker. Just leave it there.
So I do want to do we have anything to say about the Chameleon Conspiracy and basically Spider-Man going to a weekly book for that event? Larry, do you think it's warranted?
You know what? DC is a Batman company, and Marvel can be a Spider-Man company. But people are going to buy a weekly Spider-Man book. I think that Nick Spencer has gone a little bit stale on the title, and I'd like to see a new writer. I like the new artist. I like Gleason. I thought he killed it.
There you go. Anyone else have anything to say about Chameleon Conspiracy could be in a weekly event?
I'm okay with it. That getting Spidey weekly isn't really a big deal for me because I grew up with there being 4 monthly Spider-Man books.
Yep, there's people who are going to be excited about a Spidey weekly. People are insane.
Yeah,
there's a demand. That's the character you can do it with at Marvel.
When I was 12 and like 11 and reading, one week I'm getting Amazing Spider-Man, the next I'm getting the McFarlane adjectiveless Spider-Man, the next I'm getting Web of Spider-Man, and the next I'm getting Spectacular Spider-Man. We're already kind of used to that though. So and even when they did Spider-Man weekly for like 6 years, like when it was just down to, or no, they were doing it 3 times a month for like 6 years for when it was just ASM.
As a retailer, I want to see a Spidey book every week, and I want to see a Batman book every week because it's it's bread and butter. It's just it's a staple that people will pick up.
There you go. Kenneth Dowling, thank you for supporting the channel. Chameleon Conspiracy, weekly schedule. I actually like it. It'd be nice not waiting an entire month for the next issue. Take care, guys. Pele, my favorite U2 song. I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Joshua Tree, best album of the 80s. Fight me.
I love the Joshua Tree by U2.
But, best pop album of the 80s.
I was going to say, did AC/DC not exist in the 80s? What happened?
Best pop album. I'll correct that. There you go.
Jeez. But, so, Pele, you're cool with the weekly schedule?
I love it. As long as it sells. As long as it sells. It's great. As long as the customer's happy and the sales, I'm all for it.
There you go. Thank you so much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel. Let's move on to our last topic. We do have the Justice League are going to be fighting the Avengers and Heroes Reborn. Doc, you kind of nailed it down. We've got the Marvel's equivalent of the Justice League. I think it's Squadron Supreme, right?
Yep.
They are going to be essentially fighting the Avengers to come back in Heroes Reborn. Are you glad you called?
Oh, I knew what it was the minute I saw it. It's just, what if Marvel was DC? That's all this event was. And the fact that it's going to be Avengers versus ostensibly the faux Justice League is not really a surprise. Honestly, you know what? They've been basically hinting at this since Jason Aaron's Avengers #1.
Yep.
It was eventually going to get here. Mm-hmm. But now the fact that they did it this way is fucking stupid. And everything about this is poorly done. That's not surprising either because it is Jason Aaron.
I think the analogs are really, really retarded. I just don't like the analogs for the DC heroes. But other than that,
no, you know what? I like. Go ahead.
During COVID, there was a movement with fans, asking the big companies to do crossovers. I mean, maybe plans for this solidified during that period too.
That was Gail Simone.
I thought it was Gail Simone asking
because it's so she could get work.
Is she working now at all? Or?
No, that's the problem. But she was the one. She was a big proponent of that. It was a bunch of creators that have no business sense. They're also the ones that thought Diamond's comeback bigger than the setback branding was going to solve everything. Yeah. No, none of this worked because look, anytime comic creators have business ideas, throw those business ideas in the trash because they suck.
Oh, come on, man. She's just getting tired of eating cat food.
Okay, I want to say thank you
Gail
to Lane
Simone
Kramer.
Is not tired of eating.
Thanks a lot to Lane Kramer, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me on, Wes.
And he's going to
I was
pick
talking
up
to you, Larry. I was talking to Lane.
I thought we were leaving.
No, we're in the last topic. We haven't even given recommendations.
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. I have been collecting Jason Aaron's Avengers since issue 1.
I'm sorry.
It was
am I.
great up until Age of Khonshu, and then it went downhill so bad. And so I've had about a year of just one of the worst comic books I've read
love
in
Ed
my time in
McGuinness.
reading. Ed McGuinness is fantastic.
Ed McGuinness is wasted on this.
Yeah, but so as of this past weekend, I canceled Avengers because I just couldn't take it anymore. Although I am going to read Heroes Reborn. I don't care about Avengers anymore. I want to read Heroes Reborn because the story is very intriguing to a point, because it's in the description. It said Thor doesn't care about his hammer. He actually hates it. And now he's a drunk atheist. He's a god and he's an atheist?
He doesn't believe in himself anymore.
Oh, look. Hey, look, it's Jason Aaron fundamentally misunderstanding what he's working on again.
Yeah.
I think Heroes Reborn looks interesting. I'm excited for it.
I do like the idea, though, that Blade is the only one who remembers what the past, what the actual history is.
Did you like it when it happened the first time in X-Men?
What?
I like this better when it was called Age of Apocalypse.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's about right.
Yeah.
It's Avengers Age of Apocalypse, except
That's
for
that's exciting to me. I think
much
that's
more
cool.
poorly done. With the
worst
I'm
creative
cautiously
team.
optimistic.
Larry, are you optimistic about Amazing Shutterbug Peter Parker as Jimmy Olsen?
Yeah, why not? Uh-huh.
I like this guy.
Sorry.
I like this guy.
Larry likes anything that'll make money. He doesn't even care if it's good.
That's not true. This won't make money.
No?
I don't think so.
No, Phil Hester has a few pages in there.
Yeah.
Phil Hester in Superman 29 was absolutely
This
awful.
won't make money.
I'm sorry, but look, Phil Hester hasn't put an ass in a seat since he did Green Arrow with Kevin Smith.
He puts my ass in the seat every day.
But he
I
doesn't.
like his stuff.
He is a very solid journeyman artist that had one high point of his career and has gone back to middling ever since. He doesn't. I'm sorry. Look, I can respect
sum
these
up
guys.
A man's life like that, Doc. It's just.
Look, I'm sorry, but there's most of the industry is filled with mid-carders or nobodies. And there's only certain talent that legitimately puts asses in seats.
Yep.
And
That's
I'm
true.
sorry,
They're
Phil
called
Hester.
stars.
Yes, I know. Ed McGuinness is one, but you're putting an anchor on him with Jason Aaron because they're still trying to convince themselves that Jason Aaron is one of those people.
They're still trying to convince themselves that Jason Aaron is an A-list writer.
Yes.
Well, no matter what
Jason
you guys
Aaron
say
at
about
one
his
point
writing,
was an A-list writer. And back to the whole your
What,
Taylor,
for
your
12 issues of
Millionaire
God of
analogy,
Thunder?
If you had $1 million and you lost it, at least you know how to do it. At least you know how to make the money at one point. I mean, Jason Aaron's God of Thunder run was I never thought that I would compare a Thor run to Walter Simonson's masterpiece, but I like Jason Aaron's Thor run as much as Walter Simonson's run. Jason Aaron has the potential
For a short
to be an
window of
A-list
time,
writer.
yeah.
So Avengers hasn't been his book. He's mired down in, a shitstorm, but I think that Jason Aaron could produce an A-list
also, you guys
title
got to
again.
think, even though his writing is not the best anymore, he still sells. He brings people
It's
to books.
selling because it's Avengers and it's Ed McGuinness and there's cool characters in it, and the story has been flat as fuck for 4 years.
You could put me on that book with Ed McGuinness and call it Avengers, and it would sell equally well.
I agree.
And I've never written a
I
fucking
agree.
thing in my life.
But Jason Aaron has the potential to be an A-list writer because he was an A-list writer at one time.
For 12 issues.
No.
For a year. For
His
1
Ghost
year.
Rider, dude.
For
His
1
Ghost Rider.
year, he was an A-list writer. So
There was a lot of there was a period of time when he came over to Marvel from after doing Scalped, where they kept putting him on things and calling him the next superstar, and he got okay. I mean, he did okay, and then he royally screwed up the X-Men Then he ended up over on Thor, and that was the one point where he actually started achieving the promise that everybody claimed that he had when he was brought on. Yeah,
what a great.
But
we admit that.
But then he set all that work on fire with Jane Thor.
Yes,
it was so good.
Jane Thor was a great run, man.
You're
dead wrong. You can't.
And it set fire to sales. It set fire to subscriptions.
It did not set
yes,
fire
it did.
to sales. And then anything you were
it didn't.
Any book that you were stuck with, Pele.
The title dropped 60% subs.
It turned into a $60 book. Like,
so what? You have a couple people out there that wanted to buy it, but it dropped 60% of its subs.
It's because it came.
Yes, it did.
It's because it came at the era of forced diversity, and Jane Foster was never part of the forced diversity era.
Hold on.
Absolutely was. Absolutely was.
No way.
Absolutely was. Thor's Thor. He's not Odinson.
Loved it.
Bite my ass.
Pele. In fact,
Whoa.
Hey, Pele.
All right.
In fact, Perch did a video on this. His sales analysis.
I don't think Perch is right either. I don't think Perch is right either.
Information.
He's not right by reporting sales from Comic-Con. Numbers are numbers, guy.
Yeah, dude, the guy it sold more.
Okay.
No, it did not. No, it did not.
It did too.
Shut up.
No, it did not.
Everybody
Let's
shut
go to
up.
Comic-Con.
I don't care. My point was it set fire to his reputation, not to sales.
Disagree. I'm a man on the street. I'm seeing the fans at the register. People loved it.
People
loved it. The YouTubers lumped.
Will you stop for a minute, for fuck's sake, man?
Go ahead.
Anything outside of Thor, there was after seeing what he did with X-Men and then watching what he did with Thor. Whether you were you did not want Jason Aaron coming to the thing that you liked next.
And I want to say something about the sales. All right. They took pre-Aaron's Thor numbers, pre-Aaron Thor numbers, and compared them to Jane Foster Thor numbers. They didn't compare Jason Aaron's Thor before Jane Foster to Jane Foster. No, they didn't.
They did.
No, they didn't. I've got the numbers right here. No, they didn't. They're comparing pre-Thor, pre-Jane Foster,
all right,
to actual Jane Foster. The sale number dropped.
Pele, we'll just settle by saying it was a good book.
Pandering shit.
As a fan, I loved every issue Jason Aaron wrote of Thor, including Jane Foster. And as a retailer, Jason Aaron's Thor has been a boom, both as a new issue and explosive as a back issue, including
I can't sell a Jane Foster Thor to save. It just doesn't sell for crap.
You guys take a look at eBay.
Now the pre-Foster Aaron's, pre-Jane Thor, Thorina, whatever, was awesome. It still sells. God of Thunder sells like mad. Issue number 2 through 6, 7, fantastic back sales on God of Thunder. Then you got into Thorina or Lady Thor or whatever.
Just Thor.
Whatever.
Her name is
Thor. And everybody went, this is stupid.
She's been around
and
since Journey into Mystery 84, so she's been around a while.
I know Jane Foster had, but Jane Thor is stupid, and it's a crappy character, and it's bad.
I
think the only thing people hate about Jane Foster Thor is just her taking the name Thor. If you guys read the story,
it's his
good.
bloody damn name. It's not a title. So there you go.
I can agree with that.
Jimmy, Larry, if for I know it's your store, but if for some reason you ever got fired from your own store, you have to lose your name now. That's a ridiculous concept, and nobody should ever excuse it for any reason.
We can't say that. We're not gods, sir. We're men.
You don't lose your name when you lose your job. That's that. It's that simple. This is very simple. But regardless, after that, nobody wanted. If you heard that Jason Aaron was going to end up on the property that you liked, you were dreading it.
Because they're going to ruin my character. He's going to take the name away from him. What the hell?
Writing Avengers, and it just hasn't panned out for him. It sucked.
It was good for 2 years. It was
because
fantastic. It was okay
because
for
it
2 years.
fundamentally changed.
It's never clicked for me.
It never. But the thing is, he came on to Avengers and he pulled a Bendis where he just fundamentally changed what the Avengers are, how they're run, where they're run from, who runs the team, everything about it. He came on and did everything that he did everywhere else he was on.
Everything you just said, Doc describes this book coming out Wednesday.
I can't see that. What
So
is it?
I do want to put
just
this
like-
a little. Hold up for a little promotion for the
Bendis.
channel. So if you're interested on how I or Joe Corallo would fix Jason Aaron's Avengers run, we happen to have a video coming out on Monday where we go down all the issues that have accumulated with the
That's
Avengers over the
exciting.
years and how we would fix it. And it will be out on Monday. I'm sorry, it looks like Larry
Does it
fell
involve
out.
Does
a
it
lot of
involve a
times
time
his-
machine?
Phone runs out of power by the time we're done with one of these streams. Likely to have happened, but if he does come back, I'll put him back up on. But I think with the fireworks that we just had, we're going to have to shut this topic down. Like there was some
Oh yeah.
stuff going on.
Oh, I loved it. That's
I
great.
thought I was
That's good
alone
stuff.
for the majority of the time for people just hating on Jason Aaron's
I think
Thor, but I
James-
found a friend.
Foster Thor is a stupid concept, but I
It
will
is.
admit that it sold for a couple years.
It didn't. Comicron
really
also no, it didn't. Comicron included the numbers for promotional issues, which extended between 25 and 35,000 per issue. I've got the numbers right here. Those were also included
Listen.
in promotional giveaways. I'm telling you, it did not sell what people think it did, and it is just fake news bullshit. And it did not sell as well as it did before she became Thor.
I'm just going to disagree.
I said it sold well.
I don't care.
Larry was
I
the
just-
one saying it sold better. It didn't sell better.
I don't care. I'm just pointing out that he ruins things that he touches.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
His
does.
Ghost Rider run was great. His
Didn't
his
he
first
was
Wolverine
he-
in Hell was awesome.
Oh, fuck you on
Oh, no.
Wolverine.
Ugh.
Wolverine in Hell.
Don't you
Just
ever
Wolverine in
don't
Hell.
ever defend a single thing that Jason Aaron did with Wolverine, because the only thing he knows is the goddamn cartoon and the bad Brett Ratner movie. That's
There
it.
you go.
That is his knowledge of Wolverine.
Yeah, it's true. It's a fact.
We can't do this, guys. It's not one of the topics. We're at the very end of this. We've
Okay.
had people
Sorry.
drop out. We're only 4 deep. We don't have a lot of time here left. So let's do some comic book recommendations. The comic book teddy bear himself, who's been a man apart. You've been attacked, sir. You've been maimed during this stream. What comic books do you want to recommend?
I want to recommend 2 things. One is Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman, and that is coming to an end apparently at issue 36.
That's correct.
I am pissed off, but it makes sense if you read the story. And also, I want to The Swamp Thing by Ram V. The first issue I read was okay, but because of Future State, I have high hopes.
Damn it, I thought you were actually going to give me a shot by recommending Jason Aaron Wolverine in Hell.
Nope.
There you go.
Nope.
All right, Pele, what are you recommending at the shop?
Oh, there wasn't a whole lot. It was pretty damp week as far as sales go. Joker sold well. I didn't get a chance to read it. Daryl 28 is great. I really enjoyed that. Usagi Yojimbo, the latest issues have been really fantastic. If you can find them still on the racks, go and get those.
So we do have a comment here from Shanghala. He says, I could go for an aficionados after hours show. It's hard to make these on Saturday. That might be happening, although it sounded like Chris might do it before my show. I will let him know. People would like something similar afterwards, because it sounds like Chris from Comics Exposed wants to do something of that nature. So you might get your wish, Shanghala.
No, we don't hate each other. We're just argue. People that can hang out can argue, and that's good. Arguing
hate
is fun.
Everyone equally.
Yeah, there you go. It's nothing personal. It's just an argument. It's good.
Yeah. So that's what Pele is recommending. Doc, what do you recommend?
Honestly, I did like ASM 61 this week, but I also recommend Nonstop Spider-Man. Although it was very strange to see, I think there were 2 different things that I read. Oh, I also read the Deadpool Nerdy 30 whatever special, just because why not? And Joe Casey made platypus jokes in both of them, and it was very odd. because he's doing Nonstop Spidey, and he did one of the short stories in the Deadpool, and he made a platypus joke in both. So I'm betting he had a platypus on his mind when he was writing them. But yeah, no, I like Joe Casey and Chris Bacalo together on stuff. So, definitely Nonstop Spidey.
Definitely. So I agree with Pele. There wasn't a lot of great stuff. I read Joker #1. It was a great setup for motivation for Gordon,
Right.
but I don't think it was great execution. I didn't like the new Superman. I was even a little disappointed by Daredevil. There's one comic that I thought was great. Maybe it wasn't the whole comic, but that Red Hood story in Batman Urban Legends by Chip Zdarsky and Eddie Barrows is absolute fire this week. It was amazing. It's basically a 5-star story. Unfortunately, it's wrapped inside of a anthology comic that costs $6. If they just released it as a Red Hood story, I think it would be borderline instant classic. There's 3 backup stories on that one. The one by Rosenberg is actually the best one. His Grifter story is actually pretty good, but the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy story sucked, and the Outsiders book was kind of average, a little bit of a letdown. So not a great week for new comic books, but if you haven't read Batman Urban Legends, that Red Hood story is amazing. I do want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. If you supported the channel, really appreciate that. We'll go out with Jamie Andreessen's recommendations: Erratic Origins, Batman City of Crime, and Maddie Once Upon a Time in the Future. There you go. Berserker Deluxe hardcover and Witch Hat Altier. And that'll basically do it.
Thanks, Jamie.
Definitely want to say thank you very much to Eric Canetti for joining us and shedding some light on these NFT conversations.
What a boss.
Sure, it will come up more in the future. Thank you very much, everybody.
Peace, guys.
See ya.
Take care. Wash your ass.